You should just keep your mouth shut so that you don't say anything.
Shut up and sit down.
Happy cycling is safe cycling.
I think I'll go for a ride, take the bike out of the shed, make a fresh start, get out of my head.
Before we start cycling, we have to prepare. First of all, you need suitable clothing that can soak up the sweat.
A little boy on a mission, like the Tour de France.
No, don't cycle drunk or
I
stoned.
was a king, the bike, the road, and me. I think I'll go for a ride.
You are listening to Dialed Podcast 118 with Matt Legrand, Evan Price, Lance Hepler, and Jake Von Turing. I will always cherish the initial misconceptions I had about these knuckleheads. Enjoy the show.
Prepare the body for biking. Make it warm, hot and steamy, ready to go.
Home is many miles, you think you're...
If you reach a pedestrian crossing, then you have to stop, even if these persons are very ugly or old.
Some days I'm Sean Kelly, some days I'm David Byrne, pedaling through Dublin town or in Portland, Oregon.
If you want to pass someone, use your bell. Pass him and say, thank you.
When you ride the frontier between nature and mankind, I think I'll go for a ride. I think I'll go for a ride.
What if you become very light in your head? I myself always have an emergency potato in my pants. And when I get hungry on the road, I just cook it.
Hi, and welcome back to the Dial Podcast. I am Jake Von During, and I'm here with Lance Hepler.
Lance Romance, right here in studio.
In studio.
Here I am.
Does the mustache like protect you like a mask would?
Yeah, it's seriously ridiculous at its level right now.
Did you just get that mustache?
It's brand new.
So we stopped
Stay
by.
tuned. Stay tuned. We'll talk
About it in the back pedal? Okay.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about it in back pedal.
He is looking slightly more clean-shaven everywhere
It's,
else right now. Did you clean up yesterday?
Oh no, I have to shave the rest of my face almost every other day.
Yeah.
Does your hair grow that fast? Really?
Well, it's just it doesn't really grow that fast. Maybe every
It
other.
just got to look
This has
clean.
been Mustache Talk.
The mustache.
The
talk
mustache just has to
with
pop.
Dr. Lance Hepler.
Right away.
Have you measured it yet?
No, I haven't. But look at how long those pointy things
We'll get
are.
you some rulers. Don't worry.
I think
but
if
where
you were
would
to
you
measure
measure
those,
from?
you're getting pretty darn close to about 3 inches with a curl.
Have
Yeah.
you tried the
Yeah.
fisticuff wax?
Yeah, I have.
He has
I
it.
have that's what's in it right now.
The fisticuff wax?
I've got death grip wax.
Okay, good.
And then fisticuff wax. It's a little bit softer.
Okay.
The fisticuff
Depends
wax.
on
It's
your
not-
day.
Yeah, so you have to kind of gauge what kind of.
What kind of day is it gonna be?
What it's going to be a death grip day or a fisticuff.
I love how the names are so fantastic
Yeah.
of the mustache wax.
I know.
Okay.
So you're using like a hair dryer and a
Yes.
curling iron, some
Yeah.
hairspray,
Yeah.
some wax.
Correct. Keep going. I have to
Nice.
use all of it.
He's gonna have to use some like something to stabilize it here at some point once it gets long enough, like some actual like beams or something.
My wife can't actually get within like 2 feet of me anymore. She's just like she just looks away in disgust. All right.
Poor Brandy.
Oh, this is awesome.
Two Lances right. Evan Price.
So today I'm drinking LaCroix Pamplemousse. How in God's name do you pronounce that?
Nailed it.
Did I? Okay, good. Yeah.
Pamplemousse.
So how would one describe pamplemousse as a flavor? I don't know.
Pampley.
Pampley, yeah.
It's got a lot of pample to it.
Moosey.
Right. It's got.
Or
It's
do
got
you
a
use
little bit
mousse
of
on your mustache too?
No.
It tastes like
stick to the
Lance's
wax.
mustache.
Hard pass.
All right, everybody else, lemon Kirkland, Jake, lime Kirkland.
Yeah.
And coffee.
Uh-huh.
So
When's that check coming in, Kirkland?
I don't know.
Still in the
I
middle?
think Kirkland caught wind of us drinking LaCroix and stopped carrying the good
Yeah.
LaCroix at Costco, and they're forcing us to start buying
much
these
Pamplemousse.
Kirklands again, and they're holding our stupid check.
Too much pamplemousse.
Devin's right. Matt Legrand.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? Are you guys getting tired of this intro?
Nope.
You're
No,
not?
this is my favorite
Nope.
intro by
No
far.
one's tired of the mustache.
Nope.
No one's
Nobody's
no one's tired of the intro.
There are people tired of the mustache.
I know. Brandy told me on the ride yesterday.
Yeah, she's like,
he gets no kisses from me.
there's been no kissing in like 2 months.
Trouble in paradise.
How many times you've woke up in the middle of the night with her standing over with your pair of scissors,
That hasn't happened yet.
clippers, or something like?
No, it's because she knows that if she takes the curls out, it's going to look even worse. The
you
curls
just-
hold it
when
together.
When I brush, we got to stop talking about the mustache.
No, we do not.
Randy, your only chance is if cyclocross is canceled this season, then he might shave it. But
Yeah.
other than that, it's not going to get.
What I'm
not go
threatening to
anywhere.
do is actually shave my head.
Yeah.
So that I look even more ridiculous.
Oh, you'd look more like the fisticuffs guy because he's bald, isn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be perfect.
Shaved head, stupid mustache.
Let's do it.
Can we do like a side by side of you and the fisticuffs guy? You have to be in the exact same position and shave your
I
head.
think we should.
I think we need to do that.
What accessories can you add to that? I mean, you got other facial hair that you can add on there. You've got like things that you
trousers
can
pulled
hang
up high, so
Boxing
that-
gloves.
boxing gloves. Yeah.
But like the really old ones that are barely gloves. Yeah.
Interesting.
Maybe.
All right. How about some lead out? Nah, let's
wait for that.
Let's,
Oh wait.
well, you guys were talking.
We've got Jake flustered already this morning. This
Flustered
is
me. Yeah.
beautiful.
Doesn't
Too
take
much
much. We're
mustache
going a
talk.
little bit early. Today's
Way too
Memorial
much
Day.
mustache talk.
Got up way too early this morning. Yeah. Now, you guys were talking about some stuff that I wanted to hear more about this whole Lance Armstrong thing, but we'll get to that in a moment. Let's do some backpedaling. Evan, go.
Okay. I rode 2 hills a large amount of times because I'm training for an Everest attempt at the end of June, and I've heard to train for that, you probably need to climb a lot.
Probably.
A little bit.
So,
How many?
yeah.
How much like elevation did you get? Do you end up getting 10 yesterday? or
Nothing crazy. No, so next weekend's going to be a lot more elevation gain. This weekend was just getting a taste for descending and climbing. So
Did you get 9? You had to have gotten quite a bit.
Yeah, I think I got 9
almost 10.
on. And then Saturday I went out to Blandford. Everybody knows Blandford here, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was actually a pretty shallow climb, which I liked because it kind of like got the legs warmed up.
Yeah.
I think I did that
It's not steep.
No, I think I did like 20, 25 times, something like that. But that descent's
You
fun.
can bomb that descent.
Yeah, I really like that descent.
Yeah.
Because that's something I need to work on is just descending.
Do you?
So,
How much EG did you get out of Blandford?
I think I got 6,000 feet out of
Okay.
Blandford.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, which ended up being a lot of reps.
That's a nice climb. I like that
is,
climb.
Yeah,
it's fun.
And I was kind of
pretty.
there were 2 sections on it where I would go harder each time, so I just treated it like intervals basically. But
Well, you guys have picked a pretty good hill. It's got the right grade, I think, for you lightweights over there.
yes,
The hill that they picked is Forest Home.
it is perfect.
Now, you're going to be doing it at a time of the year where you could be seeing some pretty high
gonna be hot.
temperatures. So,
Yeah.
another reason why that's a good road is because there's really good canopy cover from the
Great
trees. So,
protection.
it's going to be protected.
It's
so.
it's funny.
really-
Me and Tonk while we were going up and down. I almost felt like we were 2 like women about to get married talking about like a dress. You know, and just like know when you see the dress. That was a comment I made to Tonk because I was like, I think you just know when you do the climb if this is the
This
right
is it.
climb for it.
Tonk was equally excited about it. 'cause
We were giddy about that climb.
he was like, yeah,
Yeah.
this is perfect. You know, I was enjoying talking to him about that.
We it's because me and Tonk are similar types of climbers where we like to be able to move around the saddle, get in and out of the saddle. We like steep bits, you know. So we're not like Tonk would be a little bit more of a power climber, but I need a little bit longer climb, and it's close to a mile, which is great. I think it's like 0.86, and it's over 10% gradient average, which is exactly the kind of elevation gain you need. And it's not a crazy descent. It's fast, like you're going fast, and you got to slam on the brakes at the end. But outside of that, it's great. So
Yeah. The only thing that would make that better would be the bottom. Like that stop
Yes.
sign, you hit
Yeah.
that pretty fast, pretty quick.
we had the we were talking about this before we turned on the podcast. Tonk had found there was a dead squirrel on the side of the road, and we found that if you braked right at the dead squirrel,
That was about right.
it was perfect. You could hit the turn right. So somebody moved the dead squirrel though during our repeats, and then
know-
we had to find a new spot.
You,
So-
you know what it was? When I rode up there yesterday, there was a turkey vulture sitting in the tree.
He
at
got the
bottom.
squirrel.
The turkey vulture
vulture.
took the,
There you go.
took
Messed
the
up
tree.
Messed up your climb.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, spray
took
paint
that
it.
squirrel.
Maybe
We
put
should.
some markers on there so you know.
I may bring a cone out actually, just so we know. I mean, I've neon green cones, so it may be.
Well, yeah,
or you
and-
just put some spray paint on the road and it
paint
doesn't
would
go
be
away.
Or
Yeah.
signage that says cyclists on the road.
That
Be
too.
careful.
and
you
just
know,
put the sign right where we need to brake
Yeah.
too. Yeah, be smart. But yeah,
Sounds exhilarating, Evan. You had a fantastic weekend of
On
just
a-
awesome route planning and epic adventures.
I would not call it either of those things, but it was a lot of miles ridden. But on Saturday, the only exciting thing in my life that happened on Saturday was Cassie did almost solo half Ironman. She was with Jen Cotton for the swim and the bike, and then she did the run by herself.
That's
Good
cool.
job, Cassie.
Solo half Ironman. She had a killer. I mean, everybody here who knows Cassie knows she swam in high school. You know, was a swimmer growing up, so it's no surprise that she swims fast. But she had a great swim that day. came out in good spirits, went on the ride. They did a ride up through Ridgefield, which is just due north of Vancouver Lake, basically.
It's a good route.
But has some punchy climbs, so that was tough.
It is climby.
Yeah, it was tough. And she came back, was feeling awesome. Me and Ryan were at both Ryan Cotton being Jen's husband. Were at both transitions for them, made sure the pretzels were out, the shoes were there and all that. Cassie's very organized with how she transitioned, so she got it done. And then basically she went out on the run and was going to go out to Vancouver Lake and back, which is an amazingly boring run from our house, but it is very flat and good in that sense. So she went all the way out to Frenchman's Bar, turned around and came back, and that almost put her exactly at a half marathon.
Wow.
We had a system where I was basically at Vancouver Lake. This was after my hill repeats, because I did the hill repeats while she was out on the bike in Ridgefield. And then I would do an interval at Vancouver Lake. It would take me exactly between 18 and 20 minutes. Come back, give her water, give her Red Bull, give her pretzels, and then do another interval, come back. So it was every 18 minutes she was getting something in. But yeah, she trucked through and did an awesome job. She was only a couple minutes off of what she did last year in Santa Cruz for her half marathon run, which is awesome on a non-race day.
Yeah.
So
Good for her.
yeah,
Good
she
job,
had a
Cassie.
great day.
So she must be training pretty well. Are you coaching her a little bit?
I mean, yeah, it's I put together her coaching plan and we do it together, and there's a lot of things that we factor in with that too. But yeah, I like.
She sent me workouts. I need to jump on the bandwagon.
Yeah, those were fun.
I should try training.
We can.
I hear it helps.
Gonna come out to Forest Home with us. We can put that in your training plan.
Put it in there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Matt, you want to backpedal?
Sure. Yeah, I did go out to Forest Home yesterday, and I did one of Tonk's hill climbs. That hurt pretty bad. It was a tough way to warm up. And then it was really like one. It was like 1.5 because we climbed up the first one, and I was like breathing really I was just like throwing up in my mouth a little bit, like hanging over my handlebars, and I was like, you go ahead and descend, and I'll just catch up with you. I'll turn around, catch up with you later. It's totally like that.
Laid down in the ditch.
But before I did that, I had my camera stuff. I actually drove over there and I pulled out camera stuff and I flew the drone. And the trees that you mentioned, the canopy is dense and it is hard to get drone footage. So I don't think I did very well on that. But I probably got a couple little clips or whatever to use at some point whenever I need to.
Got a cool one of us riding on either side of you.
Yeah, that one will turn out pretty well.
That was in every cool cycling movie ever.
Yeah, I haven't looked at all that stuff just yet, but I think it'll turn out decently. Mm-hmm. But as I was waiting for you guys to climb up, I met Tonk's wife, Annie. Yeah. And I was like, I don't think we've met yet. And she was like, yeah, blah, blah, blah.
She's awesome, by the way.
Yeah, super cool.
She's so fun.
And she saw the minivan and she looked and she saw the kids' car seats and she was like, do you have grandkids?
Oh.
And
that's awesome.
I totally played it off. Like I didn't hear her say that. I played it off like I didn't hear her say that. And I was like, yeah, got 3 kids, And I was like, I looked at her and I said, so teen pregnancy is a bitch. Annie is like, I don't know if she's like 5 or 6 months pregnant or something like that.
Uh-huh.
But
Yeah.
She just entered her 3rd trimester.
I know.
She's
She
not.
looks
She's
like
not
she-
a teenager.
No.
No.
But she's so small. She looks like she ate a burrito.
I know.
It's just
I
like
know.
the little
She's a
burrito
very
bowl.
small
Yeah.
frame. Yeah, that's
That hurt.
You jabbed her back. I like that.
No, I didn't actually.
Okay.
I didn't actually say that. It just took
But you
me.
thought it.
It took me like 24 hours to come up with that.
that's so awesome. Oh, that's yes, Annie. That is hilarious. I love it.
I know. It was great.
She was. Yeah, she was an absolute champ. She got really good at the handouts.
You know
by
what
the
was
way.
nice is
She
just
had a
having
system down.
Totally, like having someone there.
that's
I think
night
it's going to
and
be half the battle is having support
Absolutely.
for
Yeah.
the actual event.
Me and Tonk didn't realize how hard. Just the way Forest Home is structured, it's so steep in the beginning. It is not easy to get food in during that climb. There's
No.
really not a comfortable place where you can be like, all right, now's the time where we eat. Like
You could. I think if you
The
slow
middle.
down on the climb, and
The middle you
there's-
can,
Yeah, because
yeah.
it's steep and then it eases up and then it's and
Yeah.
you just need to probably eat something really small, like a bite each climb
Exactly.
or something like that.
exactly.
Are you guys
In a drink.
trying to do this in a certain amount of time, or are you just trying to do it?
They're saying no, but they are doing it in a certain. They're trying to do it in a certain amount of time.
Yeah. So
They're
we're-
lying only to us.
We are just trying to get it done, but I know me and Tonk are really happy with our finish right now. I know when Tonk hits the end of June and we're doing the same, we're gonna want to go fast, but not. I think that we understand that pacing is important during it, so it's gonna be. But
sub 12 hours, I think, is
Yes,
like. I think that's kind of like
absolutely,
in my mind would be.
I want to go sub 11, but
Okay,
sub
yeah.
12 is what
Somewhere in there,
for sure
right?
we want to
So
do. Yeah.
you're not going 8 hours, but you're not
God,
going to
Sub
be.
8, dude. Go sub
You're not going to be
God,
out there
no.
for
Oh my God.
18 hours. Yeah.
If you want to give me one of those e-bikes, we could do it then. I think that'd be my only chance.
I'll come ever with you with an e-bike.
Oh yeah.
I
actually think it would
I
be hard.
genuinely would like if anybody wants to bring out their own bike, do some laps, and then grab the e-bike, please do.
Do the e-bike,
company,
Lance, because
company
I
will be
bet you
appreciated.
will give up at some point.
I'm sure I would.
You'll be like, first of all, I can't descend with these guys. They're still going down fast. Second of all, the e-bike runs out of battery at some point.
At some
It's a
point.
12-hour ride. It's not going to last that long.
How many
So,
miles is it going to end up being?
I think Tonk said 106, but I would need to check.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, those e-bikes probably have on that climb maybe a good 40 or 50 miles in them
Right.
at most.
At
I mean,
most.
it might even be a stretch.
And
in
then
it. But if we have multiple e-bikes, then it's game
Oh,
on.
okay. After that, can you imagine being like, oh, I got to haul this, 50-pound bike. How much do those bikes weigh? They're heavy, right?
Oh God, yeah, but
50, 60-pound bike up that hill.
Just
Oh,
depends
that'd be
on
great.
yeah.
It's like right in the middle, and your car's at the top, so you got like.
They're like 30 or 35 pounds.
Oh, there.
depends on the make and the
Yeah.
model, yeah. But yeah,
We'll get you a heavy. We'll get you
We're
a heavy
hoping my
one.
new bike's going to be much less than half that weight.
It's gonna be a tandem.
What else, Matt? What else did you do this past week?
This morning I ran the Memorial Mile.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Oh.
Yep.
like
Which is just loops around the cul-de-sac. I think whatever it was I told you like guys last week,
16, I
16 or
think.
something.
Yeah.
16. We did that again because
I
it's
love
Memorial
that you
Day
do that
today.
cul-de-sac because in my head that's
know,
such
it's
a
hilarious.
short. It's such a small cul-de-sac.
Oh, it's hilarious. And our neighbors come out and do it, and we were like, yeah, this is a party. We turn music on. It's awesome.
That's so cool.
We did
I
that.
love your neighborhood. Your neighborhood's so many fun people.
It's a party.
Got the
which
party hood, yep.
It's a little dangerous because it's always a party. So. Yeah. So other than that, I'm super swamped with work right now, and so yeah, not getting to exercise much.
Bummer.
Yeah, just putting extra little notches in the belt and
Yeah.
just loosen it up and
okay.
let her go.
We just got hours with workout 3 times a week.
Okay, that's
all
what
we
I
need.
that's what I need to
That's
do.
all we need. And then one weekend ride for fun. That's all.
Cool.
Good plan.
Yep.
Lance?
Yes. My week actually ended up having a pretty big week. I took 3 days off, but I
matter.
rode 4 days. I still did almost 16 hours and 250 miles or something like that. So,
How'd you ride as much as I did and took 3 days off?
because my rides were like 50
Monster
miles,
rides.
55 miles, 80 miles, and 65 miles. They were all big,
ton of climbing on each one,
longer
too, yeah.
rides. Yeah. So yeah, had a couple of solo days that were great, but the big ride, we ended up doing this kind of big gravel adventure that Jake and I have been talking about for the last couple weeks around Larch Mountain.
That looked awesome. I saw a video clip on Instagram, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know what it was.
I filmed a couple things on.
Who all did you have with you?
It was me and Jake and Mike Guy Van.
Okay.
And Chris Surratt came up from
Oh,
Albany.
wow. It's been
All
so
with
long
Albany,
since I've
yep.
seen Chris. That's
Yeah.
awesome. He went out with you guys.
We were trying to keep the group small. I mean,
Yeah.
4 of us was good, and we haven't ridden with Chris since training camp. And he was like, "Hey, I got clearance from the wife and kids. I'm coming up." So
'Cause he has a big family, right?
He's got 2
Two
kids.
kiddos.
Yep.
Did you guys do Larch, Oregon side or Washington?
Washington side.
Because there's trails on both sides.
Yeah.
That's so confusing.
Yeah. So we actually started here at the lab, but it takes 20 miles to get to where the gravel starts. But there's a 36-mile gravel loop in around that area that we had kind of devised that I found on Ride with GPS, and then I modified it a little bit. It ended up being a bit of an adventure. We ended up riding on some mountain bike trails to connect a couple things. Although we realized afterwards that we didn't have to. You could have stayed on gravel roads, but it was super fun to ride the mountain bike trails, except
Yeah.
for Jake's shoulder. It was not good
yeah.
because we were on gravel bikes. We're not
Everybody
on
was
mountain
super
bikes.
happy about that except for my shoulder.
Except
Yeah.
for
My
Jake's
shoulder was flying the bird the whole time.
Yeah. Jake was happy. His shoulder, not so much.
But big long climbs, big long descents. There was like an 8-mile descent, and there was like a 7-mile climb with like 2,500 feet.
And you guys had a beautiful day too.
It was. I
don't know.
That was Saturday.
It was Saturday.
Sunday was more.
Oh my god, yeah.
It was a little overcast.
But Saturday, good temperature. Like it was a good day to ride.
For climbing, it was excellent.
Yeah.
I was starting to get like once you
Did
get
you
up there on the
chill on
very
descent?
top, it was kind of cool. I mean,
I had to wear a cap actually on the descent. So I didn't think about
I think
that.
I was the
Yeah,
only
on
one
Saturday.
who opted for just a regular jersey, and
Yeah.
then I wore a vest over that, and I
Yeah.
was a little chilled. But
Did you wear a skull cap or no skull cap?
yeah, I always wear a skull cap.
Yeah.
But you know, it was never to the point where like, oh my god, I can't do this anymore. I was like, oh, I'm just kind of cold.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. We're all looking around right now because we're at the lab and there's some movers moving some equipment in, and there might be some background noise here, but that's
Background noise is part of the game.
That's part of the game.
Yeah.
So
No, I don't
it's
think
all
it'll.
good.
I don't think it'll pick up on Mike. We'll see.
maybe we
But-
get one of the movers to come on the show with us. Huh?
It would be funny.
Hey, how you doing?
But yeah, the ride was fantastic. It was 6 hours for me, and I completely cracked at hour 4. So the last 2 hours were fairly ugly for me.
Wow.
It was-
And good thing we saved
Yeah.
the biggest, longest climb for the very end of the ride.
we had it was a 2,500 foot climb, like 7.5 miles, and we all kind of started together, and these guys beat me up by 15 minutes or something like that.
No, it wasn't that much.
Was it that much? I don't know, but I know that I completely cracked. I fell apart,
Well, Mike Guyvan took the KOM.
and we didn't
I
even
saw
know
that, yeah.
we weren't even really
Exactly.
going.
And Chris Surratt was a few minutes ahead of me because the guy's just on another planet in terms of his fitness. And Guyvan's just a beast to begin with. So I'm trying to keep up with these guys, and they ride away from me. I'm like, great. I didn't have the ride loaded on my GPS.
Yeah.
So I came to probably 2 intersections, I think it was. And I'm like standing there like, oh, crap, which way am I supposed to go? I'm looking for like tracks, trying to like sleuth this out. And then I just waited for Lance and like yelling back to him, hey, which way? And he
I'm
starts
pointing-
pointing directions.
I'm
I'm like,
pointing
all
which
right.
way to go.
Like, truck up to the next one. I'm like, crap, here we go again.
Here's
So-
another intersection. Yeah. So yeah, the ride was fantastic. That loop, great gravel loop, not easy, but beautiful country.
Yeah.
We had.
It is amazing back there.
It is amazing back there. So we had a good day. I don't know what else would you say about that ride, Jake?
There's some strange people out there.
Oh, really?
Kind of
Found
strange
some-
people.
Found some interesting folks.
Well, lots of people like shooting the guns.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, it was a Saturday, and it's like national forest, and
Yeah.
so people can shoot guns. There was the last climb we did. Every pullout had somebody firing guns.
It sounded like the 4th of July here in Clark County, where we live. It's legal to fire off fireworks, and on 4th of July, it sounds like a war zone here.
Yeah.
That's what it sounded like coming up those last climbs. And you're just like, whoa. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just
please,
always
God,
scared I'm going to catch like
a bullet.
'cause
Yeah.
I've gone running in Alabama a lot, obviously.
Yeah.
It's like I'm just so scared I'm going to catch
Give me
up.
some flack.
Yeah, and I love trails and gravel roads
Yeah.
and stuff like that. It's just like
Yeah,
I'm going to
but-
get killed.
Where's Ranger Dan? Because there were signs posted everywhere. No shooting. No target practice. None of this
No, no,
stuff.
no.
And it's just like,
But if you're riding bikes, you're spraying much more. So, it's not nearly
Well,
as dangerous as a
Ranger
gunshot in the
Dan
middle of the woods.
definitely found it upon himself to kick us out of the forest a few weeks
Thanks,
ago.
Ranger Dan.
But
Yeah.
it's okay to go back there and
Yeah, he wasn't there.
Fire
to
off 100
stop.
rounds.
you know what? I did see him. He was busy handing out parking tickets.
Yeah. There's a trailhead at the top of one of the climbs, and there must have been 50 cars.
They were
Was
everywhere.
that, was that the Vista trailhead?
Vista
yeah.
Grouse.
We're
Yeah,
in the
Vista
middle
Grouse,
of
yeah.
freaking
That's
nowhere.
when we turned
and-
around when we did ours. Yeah.
middle of nowhere, and there's just
There were a ton of cars when we were up there, too.
It's like, oh my gosh,
There were
this
cars
must be a
parked
pretty spectacular
on the
place.
side all the way
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
And I was reading. Well, I had to ask Lance what the name of the trailhead was, and I went on there and researched, and I thought, well, maybe I can take my wife up here and the kids. We can go hiking. It's
a beautiful hiking
It,
area.
it seems like pretty nice, but there's reports of still snow on the ground. People are reporting like the first
really?
the first mile's pretty sketchy. Then you get past that, but you're going to find like snow on the ground and yada yada yada. I'm like, oh wow, it's up there.
It's up there.
That goes to talk about the temperature up there, but.
Chilly.
But yeah, there was a ranger passing out tickets for not having a Discover Pass.
We saw
Yeah.
a gaggle of raptors. Is that what you call a bunch of raptors?
Gaggle, yeah.
A gaggle?
Oh yeah, Ford Raptor trucks. That's what he's talking
gotcha.
about.
I
There
thought it was
like
a
a
business.
club.
There was like a club. There literally was like a dozen of them.
No, there was more than that.
Was there more than
There's
them?
about 20 of these trucks.
They were all like
How did they
four-wheeling.
fit up there?
Well, they
Well,
all
no,
went.
not at that trailhead. It was a different spot.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
But they were like four-wheeling together.
Yeah, they had like this little obstacle course set up, and they're all
that's
lined
cool.
up, and they were all just taking turns. and they're out there like cheering their buddies on. And they're driving
That
over
is
stumps
awesome.
and rocks, and we're like, "Yeah, go Raptors!"
I want to get a Raptor now.
Yeah, those trucks are pretty awesome.
They are, yeah.
I went riding by the group and I went, am I winning? Because I was obviously dead last. It was on a climb. Am I winning? And they're like, oh, no, dude, you're way behind. And I'm like, somebody give me a ride.
Yeah. Can I jump at the Raptor? Please, can I
ride.
jump at the Raptor?
It's like heckling what was that college that we were heckling when we were on our run?
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
TSU.
The group above there's
Portland
already
State.
caught like 4 fish. So Portland State had come out to the lake and we were heckling them. That's funny. Oh, man.
Oh, kids.
Oh, that's too
Beautiful
funny.
ride, beautiful
Anyway,
day.
it was a great day. We had a good time. That was a lot of fun. The next day, Sunday, ended up being a beautiful, gorgeous day here. That's where Jake ran into Evan, and we ran into
Promptly
Matt.
gave me the middle finger
Yeah.
as he was
Jake,
riding
he was
by
going to do
me.
hill repeats. But I was sitting. I was wrecked that night after that gravel ride.
Oh, yeah.
You ever have one of those days where you just overdid it and your body is not right? That was me all night Saturday night. I couldn't sleep. I was so tired I couldn't sleep. My resting heart rate, which is usually around 50, was 75 that day.
You did some damage, man.
Yeah.
Your whoop was angry at you.
It was angry. So I woke up that morning, my whoop said 7% recovered.
It's a record.
It's
a new record.
one of my lowest ever recovery days.
Oh, you've gone 7 before?
I've gone 5 before. 5%. Yeah.
5%.
Yeah. So it just did not
like-
feel good.
That's like you had that and
Did you
the
even
flu.
sleep?
Yeah, right.
Were you sleeping? We're not sure, actually.
So I'm sitting in my office at my desk thinking, okay, it's going to be a beautiful day. I want to go out for like 15 miles, just spin my legs. And as I'm thinking that, I get a text from Jake. Hey, do you want to go out for an hour or two and see what happens?
After already denying my text in our group.
Yeah. I'm not going to do forced home repeats.
No.
And I'm like,
I think
yes.
your response was just no. I don't think you even gave an explanation. Just no.
No. So I just responded immediately to Jake, yes, I do. And so we both ended up leaving like 15 minutes later.
Whoa, what's going on here?
I don't know. Something's
Shooting
blowing up.
stuff and phones
Matt's-
are ringing.
I'm
and-
sorry.
Matt's Barrel
I
Riot
had my
Mash
phone
just
in a
attacked
hammock.
me.
Oh, do it.
Matt was playing with his
Look at
face
that.
mask.
Oh, that's such a cool
And
little...
My
his
Alabama
phone,
face
and it
mask.
like slipped out of his hand.
This is why we have to be live. That would have been awesome.
Matt's got an Alabama face mask.
Roll Tide.
Yeah, roll tide. But anyway, Jake and I headed out to do like an hour or two, and
Here's what I don't understand.
4 hours later and 65 miles, I finally got home. So I just never stopped. But
I don't
you
understand how you were like, let's do an easy day, and then you're like, well, let's go over the river, and it's gonna. That's.
Well,
you're already
You're
like
already
that's
20
a
miles
3
from
hour.
home.
That's
Yeah.
a 3 hour ride right
Yeah.
there.
well, so for my house, the plan was okay. Me and Jake met up. We were going to keep it flat. I ended up doing 3,500 feet of elevation gain.
You at least didn't KOM hunt,
Yeah,
right?
no.
Okay, good.
So we're going to keep it flat. We're going to keep it easy. We rode out towards Vancouver. And instead of going Vancouver Lake, we decided we were going to go into North Portland to do a flat loop at Kelly Point Loop. We were going to do this flat loop out there just to kind of keep it flat. Well, we get to North Portland, and me and Jake are like, hey, let's go to Chris Handel's house. He lives over here. Let's just go stop by and see what he's doing.
Paging Dr. Handel.
So we find his address, we ride to his house, and
So you guys had not been there before. You were just.
I had, yeah. I had his
Jake had,
address. We just
I
loaded
hadn't.
it up, yeah.
Yeah. But we ride to his house, we knock on the door, and his wife comes out, and he's like, oh, Chris is going to be so upset. He missed you guys. He's out on a ride with Kylie, his daughter.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Yeah, so they were out. They were delivering eggs to a brother-in-law.
Oh,
or
I
something
saw
like
that. They're like with their backpacks
Yeah.
with the egg delivery,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. They
When
have,
she
they have,
first answered the door, she's like, who is this guy at the door? Who is? I don't know this guy.
Sorry, we don't want to buy tickets to the carnival.
I love how grown like cyclists like us answer like somebody's wife lets the door and be like, "Can Chris come play?"
yeah.
Totally what it is.
That's exactly what it was.
But I mean, Jake and I were fully dialed, kitted up, so she knew,
Yeah.
and she recognized Jake immediately. And I have met her several times, but because my mustache is so offensive,
She was scared to death for the first like 5
no,
seconds.
she couldn't quite place me.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you could tell.
He had his
she's
helmet
like,
on and his big glasses, so that covers like the bulk of his head. So all you've really got is a nose and a giant
staff.
mustache and a chin.
Mustache.
She's like, who in the world is this guy?
This is the only way people will be able to recognize you now, so you have to keep it.
Kind of sounds like Lance, but who is that?
So 5 minutes into the conversation, she all of a sudden looks at me and she goes, "Is that mustache new? did you just tape that on?" I'm like, "No, this took me 6 months to grow."
Do you have any idea how long I worked on this?
How long I worked. And then she just laughed hysterically at herself because it was so ridiculous that she didn't recognize me because the mustache was so bad. And I said, "That's exactly why I have the mustache. It's because it makes people laugh.
This is why.
This is why.
Yeah.
It's because it makes people laugh." So we had a great exchange with Dr. Handel's wife. So,
She's got to have a sense of humor.
oh yeah,
I've never met her, but I assume if she's married to that guy,
yeah.
she puts up with a lot of stuff.
Yes.
So from that point, me and Jake, we tried to go find Handel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's like looking him up on the phone, find out exactly where he and Kylie are at, and she's giving us like addresses, and we're like, all right, we're gonna try and do the route in reverse and see if we can intercept him somewhere along the way.
Which included the Germantown road climb.
Oh,
So Jake
that's harder than any of the climbs around here.
I would say
Germantown's
so.
long.
Germantown's a long climb.
What is
yeah.
it?
3 miles or something?
3 miles, 3.5 miles, something like that. Yeah.
That's
It's not ridiculously steep at any
Oh, it's
point,
not?
though, but it is long.
There's a couple tiny little pitchy stuff, but it's a
Yeah.
good grade. I mean,
It is. It's a fun climb. I like
Yeah,
that
it's
whole area.
beautiful.
That skyline
it is
area is
great.
awesome.
you know what's better than the climb?
What?
The descent.
Yeah, I can see that. Yep.
I don't know. There's kind of a stop at the end, right? Like you come down and it.
Yeah, because it has a hard right. Well,
There
that's
are a
busy
couple
road
little
right
sketch things. When you're coming down, there's a lot of places for cars
Yeah.
to pull out, and there's people that could be
On the trails.
on the trails and walking across the road, and we saw it all.
Yeah.
So you can't hammer it too much, but
But yes, we rode up Germantown. We rode along Skyline a little bit, and then realized we're not going to go find Handel. And we're out. Jake's. I'll let him tell that story, but we were overdue, and we were 30 miles from home, and we were overdue at that point. So.
And you guys don't want Kylie to drop you. Like, you don't want to slow her down. She's trying to get a good trained out there. Lance doesn't need to be slowing Kylie down.
Well, so Jake and I said, okay, we need to turn around and head back, and then we rode all the way back to Vancouver, and then all the way over to Forest Home in Camas to catch Tonk on his very last hill repeat, which I couldn't even hang with.
Which I think he's picked up the pace on the last one because I hung with him on one of them, and I think if he was doing it a little bit more mellow, you would have been fine.
Yeah. It was just funny that
I think he was excited that it was his last one, and I think he was probably excited that we showed up. He just
Yeah,
had some people to
people
ride
showed
with.
up.
You know, you get you worked up a little bit.
He actually had a goal that he wanted to do the 10K, and then he wanted on the last one to. I'm sorry, I'm blowing Tonk's cover here. He wanted to go after Nell's
after the
KOM
KOM.
actually on the last one.
Over
so
on Nell's KOM.
Nell's KOM on the last
Oh,
one.
man.
506 or
I'm
something.
Yeah. So I mean, he still put out an
but
awesome
he
effort,
missed
but
it by like 15 seconds
Yeah,
or something.
yeah,
It
so-
wasn't
Well,
much.
He
No.
went up with
Wow.
us on the last one,
But
and then he went back
Nell's-
and did one more for good measure.
I got a lot of respect for Nell's effort there. That I mean,
So-
he had one heck of a ride up that.
So
Yeah.
you think Tonk could get that?
Oh yeah,
if he was fresh?
absolutely.
Yeah.
by a lot. Yeah,
He should do it.
but
That's
for,
that's a nice one to have.
for Nell's age range or just anybody climbing that.
Yeah, Nels is 16 years
Strong.
old, held
Strong.
360 watts up that thing, and put
Very
up.
strong.
I mean, his size
insane.
is
Oh, yeah.
watts per kilogram is pretty solid. right now.
Exactly. Yeah. He did an awesome job.
I just think that Tonk has a little bit more in the engine bank, if
I
you
did.
will.
I did feel bad that we were basically just we were using. Sorry, Sean. We were using Sean's laps as like our metronome.
Yeah.
Basically for saying like, okay, what could be a sustainable Everest pace?
Yeah.
And we kind of got that laps off, and then at some point, Tonk, I think looked at, he's like, I think we're like 20 minutes ahead of Sean's KOM right
That's
now.
what it
right?
was, yeah.
But I mean, Sean was. I mean. Solid times going up
Oh,
and
yeah.
down that. I
Yeah.
mean, Sean's got one heck of an engine. He really
oh
does.
yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah. If you combine Nels' top end 5 to 10 minute power and give Nels another 10 years of his dad's aerobic volume there,
He's gonna be
that's
a
a
beast.
scary cyclist.
Yeah.
That's going to be a fast climber.
If you think about it, too, Nels took, God, I think he was off the bike for probably 4 months.
Oh, yeah.
Just because of school obligations and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, and then he
doing
just
a lot
got
with
back
the
and started
theater,
riding,
too.
and here he's
Yeah.
out
A
here
lot.
crushing everything. So,
Yeah.
to be young again.
Smart kid, too. Very smart.
Very cool.
Yep, that's enough of me. It was a lot of riding.
Yep. I was pretty much on the trainer for the course of the week. I just didn't have any time. This whole work thing is like getting out of control.
This work thing.
Freaking work. And then went out with Lance this past weekend. I think
Got all your hours in.
what was it, 9 hours that we rode together this weekend on Saturday and Sunday?
Yep.
About that?
6, 7, 8, 9, almost 10 hours.
Yeah.
Did you break 10 hours for the week?
About 13 and a half.
Okay.
So
Not
that's it's been kind of my thing. And like yesterday, going back to this whole ride, I'm like, all right, I need to go out. I only needed 8 minutes to get to my 10-hour threshold. I know that Evan's
Spin
over
the
here and
mountain
he
bike.
puts in his
Spin
god
the
awful
mountain bike.
number of hours, and Lance is putting in massive hours. And Matt, what are you doing again?
Yeah.
Working a lot. No, but that's my threshold. I like to get to 10. That's where I'm starting to make good progress. And I only needed 8 minutes, and I got up and I'm like, I need some motivation to go get this done, keep it flat. Text Lance, do you want to go for a ride? And like almost instantly, yes. It's all
It's automatic.
Yes. I'm like, all right, we'll go out and just 20, 30 miles flat, go out to the lake or something like that and come back. And it was funny because we're just rolling like, where do you want to go? I don't know. Just keep it flat. I'm like, well, I know if I go out to Vancouver Lake, I have this Pavlovian response to
Go
that
hard.
area. Is like, the next thing you know, you look down and you're just holding 350 watts for 20 minutes. You just shouldn't be doing that. So I'm like, let's maybe go Kelly Point because I don't have any segments marked over there and I don't know the area very well and I'm not going to try and chase anything. And all right. And then next thing you know, the rest of the story was already told. We're just out bebopping around all over the place. So it was kind of cool. The gravel ride on Saturday was spectacular. I'm not going to talk about named body parts that have been talked about way too much ad nauseum over the last couple of years.
I don't like mountain bike trails.
That don't like descending and climbing on gravel bikes very much. But that aside, it was a spectacular ride. I can't wait to go do that again.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to do that and just fully enjoy it without any kind of issues.
Yeah.
So if people are interested in doing that ride, though, we would recommend that you do it counterclockwise. If your fitness isn't quite as established, we'll say.
If you do it clockwise, the final climb will destroy you like it did me.
Yeah. And then the other recommendation would be to drive up and park somewhere up on the mountain as opposed to having to climb Larch and descend Livingston and doing all the other little bits of pieces of adding on. I mean, you can kind of keep that to like about a 40-mile ride.
Yeah.
With about, how many feet of elevation gain would you say? About 5,000, 4,000, 4,500, 5,000, somewhere in there?
Yeah, about 5,000 feet of elevation gain.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
That's a spectacular ride.
Yeah.
I think more people need to go do that. And I'm surprised that I have not seen that in my Strava feed from more people going out there and doing that loop.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, that last long climb was only like 9 or 10 people had done it and posted on Strava. And I'm sure there's plenty of other people who have gone out there and done it, but didn't count, right? Because it's not on Strava. So
Didn't even happen.
go check that ride out, get a gravel bike, and just go have an adventure. And that was the thing was Lance said, we're going to go have a gravel adventure. And sure enough, it was everything. And Guy Van even alluded to that a few times when we were on the ride. He's like, man, you promised me an adventure. This is an adventure. I love this. So
That's cool.
fun.
It was fun.
So yeah, it was a fun week, 13 hours. And
It's a big week.
I'm feeling it today.
That's good, though. That's a big week because
Yeah.
you had been consistently hitting 10 for a while.
I've been
so,
hitting
yeah.
10 for several months now, so it's pretty good.
That's good.
Today's my scheduled day off because it's Monday, but I think I'm going to do a little family ride today.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Memorial Day ride.
Yeah. Putts around a little bit. So
Yeah.
cool. Let us jump into the lead out news finally.
I got one arrows in a mission before we hit lead out news.
That was on my list for after, but let's go ahead and do it now.
Do it.
It's
Do
so
it now.
You brought it up.
Do it now.
I brought it up. Last week, I talked about a segment that Mr. Evan Price here has the KOM on here. It's called Chicken and Waffles.
Yeah.
And I fully took credit for creating that
you
segment,
didn't.
and I didn't create it.
You did.
Who created it?
I don't know. But the segment has been renamed Chicken and Waffles. PSA, sorry, Lance, you did not create this segment.
Whose segment is that?
Is
That
awesome.
is that's
So a listener
awesome.
obviously created it.
First
and
of all-
it wasn't
Please
me.
call in.
Let's leave it. Please leave it at that.
Please leave it.
ass.
And nobody take that segment from me, please, God. I do not have a lot of KOMs.
So I apologize. I fully took credit for creating that segment, and I did not. So I don't know whoever that was, but the renaming was fantastic.
That is hilarious. How did you pick
That's
up on
awesome.
that?
I'm not even sure how I picked up on it.
Because we talked about maybe going out there and playing bikes this weekend.
Yeah.
But there was too many other epic things going on and too much like fatigue.
Yes.
So that didn't happen.
So
but
it didn't happen.
how did you know to even go look at that? Or did somebody like ping you
No,
about it?
nobody pinged me. I think I was looking through something and realized that Chicken and Waffles had a postscript to it, and I'm like, what? I don't even know how I caught it, but I caught it, and
That's awesome.
That is
You
rad.
spend a lot of time on Strava.
yeah, too much time, obviously.
I do dig the food theme though. That's pretty cool. Beats the heck out of like street numbers or names. To,
Right.
You know,
That's funny.
love it.
So, whoever it was, thank you for calling me out. I deserved it. Champ Bailey here in the house.
just gonna say, hey,
Champ Bailey.
Yep.
Here I am. Most of the news in biking this week revolved around Everesting. There were a ton of Everesting attempts that either happened or whatnot. Part of it revolves around Rebecca Rush.
Oh, right.
She started a Giddy Up for Good challenge to raise money for COVID-19.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man, she's a cool person.
Yeah, she's a cool person. So she and through her foundation and through her they're actually giving away prizes for people who do it. So and it'll all be tallied.
I'm giving away prizes, too, in case someone wants to do it on Forest Home. I don't know if anyone's going to do it.
So I know Rebecca.
You could do it for
No
the prize. Do it for the prize.
I want stickers.
The stickers.
So a lot of people I know actually went out and Everested over the last. You're supposed to do it between Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. These last 4 days.
Yeah.
Oh,
To
cool.
be part of her challenge. But Yuri Hosfold went out and did it.
Nice. Yeah.
17 hours.
Yeah.
Took a long
Well,
time.
okay,
God.
well, you should look at the climb they did.
Yeah,
Is he on
it depends on the
gravel? I
climb.
mean, because he would do something crazy like
It
that.
was a longer climb where it took longer to do the segment and longer to
Yeah.
descend.
How many
and
miles?
He took some breaks.
That's usually what you can tell. If it's in
Yeah.
that 200 range, then
or
you know
or
a
if it's
long
like
climb.
gravel or something.
I think his was like 197 miles.
That's
It
a
was-
long
my
climb.
gosh.
That's a long climb. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know Sam Long did something similar. He had over 200 miles, I think,
Right.
in his climb. Something crazy. Yeah.
Casey Armstrong, she's another pro mountain biker. She went out and did it in 14 hours. Payson McKelvin, I've talked about him on the podcast before.
Okay.
He's doing it today on a
Good luck, Pace.
Mountain bike?
on a mountain bike single track trail.
Yikes.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
So, and obviously not trying to do it for speed, just trying to accomplish it. But he decided he was going to do it on a mountain bike.
Did you see? You're probably going to get to it, but Katie Hall. set
Yeah,
the female
Katie
record.
Hall
Yep.
smashed the woman's record,
record,
for
yeah.
time.
Oh,
the
really?
previous record was a little over 12 hours, 12 and a half hours for a woman to Everest. Katie Hall did it in 10 hours and 1 minute
That's
Wow.
on a road climb outside Santa Cruz, California.
That is nuts.
Which has got to be a beautiful area. You know, like Cassie's family is close to Santa Cruz. I was
Yeah.
trying to find where this climb is. So next time we go and visit, I'm like, I'm just going to go and ride this area. It looks beautiful.
So crazy.
You said 10 hours and what? 40?
For who? Katie Hall?
Yeah, 10
10
hours.
hours in 1 minute.
Oh, geez. Evan, you can't do that.
Yeah.
No, she's going to toast me. There's no way.
Chris
I
Burkhardt,
was going
who
to say, it was like 1041 maybe.
Maybe.
Chris Burkhardt, this is interesting. This is for you, Evan.
Yeah.
Chris Burkhardt is a
He was a former no, wait. Am I
he's
thinking
the
somebody else?
photographer.
Yes,
He's the
yes.
outdoor photographer and the endurance cyclist.
Yep.
He went out on Saturday to do it and promptly crashed on like his second or third attempt.
man.
Hit a bird and crashed. And so he had to bail on the attempt.
Did the bird survive?
I have no idea.
No, the bird
on
did
the,
not survive.
the
ate the
very
bird that
next
night.
day, the very next day, he went to he found a different climb.
Yeah.
And did it in just over 10 hours.
Oh,
He did 97
Moving.
repeats on a 0.3 of a mile
That's
climb.
so many repeats. That's so many reps.
you got to really turn around and keep moving.
You're going to get dizzy.
Yeah. So lots of Everesting happening.
Yep.
It's become kind of the
It's the thing now. Yeah.
I still have no desire to do it.
Ditto.
Yeah, no.
It is it is a different type of, it's funny, I was just talking with my mom about this. My mom has done some ultra stuff in the running and cycling world, and she has a lot of friends in the ultra cycling world.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because this attempt is a little different because I think you're seeing a lot more of the road racers and mountain bikers go after this. There are endurance people going after this, but your Ram riders or your cross-state riders, I don't think that this entices them as much because this is like 10, 12 hours of intervals is what it is. This is not sit zone one.
Yeah.
It's a very different type of ride.
Yeah. I'd rather We should do this, Lance. Like when they start, we'll be like somewhere god awful way, like north of Seattle or somewhere. We'll do like maybe 220
Try to
miles,
beat
and
us.
we'll say on
Try
your mark,
to beat us.
set, go.
Yeah, there
and
you
you
go.
guys are going to do this like what 0.87 of a mile?
Yeah.
And your market said go. We'll be up there 220 miles away, and we'll see who finishes first.
Got to see who gets to the top of Forest Home before a certain time. We got to have a time of day, 6 p.m. Somebody's got to get there before that.
Yeah. I'd much rather do that.
For sure. The other thing that happened this week, the first half of the new Lance Armstrong
Yes.
documentary
Christmas.
came out.
Better than Christmas.
You were excited about this.
I
Evan.
was beyond excited about
I didn't
this.
even know about it. I didn't even know what was going to happen until I sat down.
I dusted off my Lance Armstrong picture, kissed it 3 times, and turned it on.
It sits by your bed.
Sits by my bed.
Yeah.
Cassie has to wake up and
poor
look at
Cassie.
that, and then she's very, very annoyed by that.
Cassie's
I'm sure.
picture's like behind it somewhere.
Cassie was a champ. She actually watched the whole thing with me and seemed interested.
Seemed interested.
It's definitely an interesting documentary. The difficulty to know is, okay, Armstrong clearly has a history of lying,
As a
and
compulsive liar, yeah.
what was he lying about before, and what is he not being honest with now? It seems
He
like
lied during the Oprah interview, like we already. I mean,
Right.
through the first hour of it, you already know that he lied in the Oprah interview, which doesn't surprise me. He was going to lie during that.
you just want to believe him so bad because his Survivor story is so good that it's
It goes into detail of that.
Yeah.
I think that has been in all of this. That's the part that people forget is you can call him. I mean, the first minute of it opens up with what I thought was an interesting scene where he knew people hated him after that Oprah interview. I mean, he knew that. This man's been hated for a lot of his life too. That's what people forget. He was beloved, but like, I mean, the French and the Europeaners
That's true.
hated this guy.
Yeah.
From very, very young ages. He was not even liked in the triathlon world. So from the age of 15, 16, he has been not a popular guy.
right.
Kind of
You
brought
know,
that upon himself, though. I
He
mean,
did. He did.
Change your disposition,
He
be
was
a little
bit
bit
of a
more.
jerk.
But
A lot of a jerk.
But I think when you watch this, he is, and this is, I've always said, like, he has been somebody I've looked up to for a lot of my life. So I will excuse a lot of Lance's shortfallings, but I also look at them and see the reason I like Lance so much is because he is about as human as it gets. The guy is very good and very bad, and really extremes, and really, really big extremes.
That's a good point.
But
Yeah.
I think when you look at they go into his childhood a little bit more than other documentaries did. This guy did not have
Yeah.
He was a nuclear bomb waiting to go off, basically. Came into a dad left early, frustrated, very young mother who was, I'm sure, very stressed with it. Is, as he says during the documentary, he's like, my mom was not a disciplinarian. I was kind of able to do whatever I wanted. Did whatever he wanted, had a stepdad come in who was abusive. And the guy moved away from home, moved to Europe when he was 17 years old.
Yeah.
You're talking about taking an abused, young, frustrated, very talented kid who's been told now, hey, you may be the best in this country. Take a 17-year-old, move him into his own house. That's what happens. You created a monster there. So, yeah.
One of the interesting things during the documentary, certainly he didn't seem to hold back as far as saying what drugs he was using,
Yeah, he was pretty
when he
straightforward.
was using them.
I think that was the headline.
Yeah.
Yep.
Was he detailing EPO
Go to
usage?
21.
Yep. EPO usage and when he started doing it. And how
Cortisone use too before his world championship.
Yeah.
That was what he held back in the Oprah interview. Is that he had made it sound like he did not dope until that second year with U.S. Postal. When he did, he just didn't go into detail during that Oprah interview. He was talking about EPO at that time. Yeah.
it's a pretty crazy. And he
Yeah.
called out some people who hadn't been called out before, but I think you kind of have to assume almost everybody from that
Yes. If you know
95,
the name,
96, 97, 98,
Right.
99,
Right, before that, probably.
that
The
whole
80s.
era, everybody
I would-
everybody at that
I would say
level was
at-
doping.
Right in the early 90s, like that would be your line, I
Yeah.
think. Because
of when EPO came in the game. Before then, it was just amphetamines and cortisone. So even in the 70s and 80s, they were using.
Yeah,
just
well,
mostly
steroids were
amphetamines.
really big,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think, in the 80s.
Cortisone use was pretty popular.
Yeah. We think.
think.
I don't know.
So-
but it's super interesting I always find this stuff fascinating.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's kind of like looking at a train wreck,
Yeah.
but I also just find it fascinating, like, pump your body full of crazy drugs. What's going to happen?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I want to see it,
Yeah.
but I feel for you. Feel
Because
sorry.
I mean the races, I mean, all these the entire cycling calendar is ridiculous when you look at it from even the.
Yeah.
I mean, the first Tour de France was in 1903. Think about the roads and the bikes that they were riding on that time.
Yeah.
And the type of people who did this sport at that time. This is the sport may have gotten away from its soul or its core in this way, but when you talk, they interview a couple cycling historians, but I've read some very old cycling books talking about this was the poor man's sport. That's why cycling was so popular in Europe. It was like in 1903, they say it was mostly like miners. And stuff like, I mean, it was basically this almost gladiator contest. It was like strap these very poor, desperate people onto bikes.
See what happens.
And you know what? It was from an early phase. It was doping really wasn't looked down upon until the 60s, 70s. Because even when Jacques Anquetil was dominating and doing well, he would openly admit to doping, like in interviews.
But
he would openly admit.
What was that, amphetamine type stuff?
Yeah, and amphetamines, name it. Basically anything they could get their hands on, painkiller wise too.
Yeah,
lot of painkillers.
Not as much of a stigma at that time, though.
No.
Well, and it probably was almost like a badge of like, look, these guys are.
Look how far you can push
Look what
yourself.
they can do.
Yep.
You know, because I mean, honestly, like it wasn't the same style of
It's
sport.
not like they were testing,
Yeah,
until,
there's no testing.
until later. Yeah, and I think that just once they started testing, I think that culture just then went underground. And it was still there, and then EPO came around, and like Lance says during the documentary, he says it was basically jet fuel. You were playing with you're playing with small stuff, and now EPO comes around,
and there was no test for it.
Yeah,
it's like
exactly.
Here's a drug that works miracles, and you cannot get caught.
It's going to increase the speed of the peloton by 2 miles an hour, and
like
you can't get caught. Yeah,
what are you going to do?
Right.
I mean, I think back about like because I obviously have the running background. It's like you look at those early '90s where like. Times were crazy and times were fast or whatever it was, and that went all the way through the 90s or whatever it was. And you're kind of like those are all not real.
Scratch your head, yeah.
But
like a certain mile time that may never get touched.
That mile time's looking good.
Yeah.
World record on the mile. It's looking pretty good.
Yeah, it's looking safe. It's looking very safe.
Yeah, we're not going to name names here.
No, just the guy who happens to hold it. But
Yeah.
Fun.
All right.
Champ Bailey out.
Enough Armstrong talk.
Thanks, Champ.
I'll keep on randomly sprinkling him in here throughout. I'm just gonna sneak it in. Every once in a while.
It's fascinating.
It is.
Really is.
The other thing interesting that happened this week, there was a whole lot of Strava hate that happened this last week as well.
Yeah.
We talked about some of the changes because they went to a more a pay for.
They cut features on the free tier.
And all I want to say about that is it's interesting to me. Strava is for fun. We need to keep it for fun. That's why it's there, is because it's
a blast.
It's a blast. It's for fun. But we didn't talk about last week, they've been around since what, 2009?
10, I think. Somewhere there,
Something
9, 10.
like that.
Yeah.
So they've been around for 10 years. They are still not profitable.
But whose fault is that?
I know.
Okay.
They
make what, $50 million a year?
Yeah, but they're still not profitable.
They're
which
not
means
profitable.
So if after 10 years, if you're not profitable, you need to make some changes, or they would go away. And that's they've had the CEO change. Yep.
They're doing this change, which is huge, which is basically cutting free features to push people towards the pay for services, which is fine. I am the only one at the table that's not paying for Strava as of this week.
I just started paying last night.
Yeah. I don't know.
I've been paying for them since 2011.
Yeah, I've been paying.
Happily.
I paid for 1 year in there, and I forgot to renew it.
I think that is the debate, right? Where it's like a lot of people are like, "Hey, I'm getting great. I use this. I'm using this for this, and this. I love the features, and I believe in paying for stuff that I use, and I don't believe in just like riding the free coattails or whatever."
Right.
Versus the other side of the argument, which is these people are taking your data and they're making profit out of that.
Don't
granted
care.
they're not. Their profit is the questionable part is the profit part, but they are taking your data and they're claiming it like, hey, once you've uploaded, this is ours now. We own this. We do whatever we want to with it.
For me, in my life, it is the cheapest entertainment I have that has held my attention.
How much is it per month now?
It's $5 a month.
$5 a month.
16 cents a day.
Yeah.
That is,
That's worth it for me.
That's a lot.
Do you know what would
That's a lot
drive
of
me
money.
nuts is if any cyclist in Portland complains about that, because in Portland, to get a nice cup of coffee, you probably need to pay about $5.25, which they will gladly do on any random Saturday ride. But as soon as Strava asks for $5, all of a sudden that's absurd. You don't have the money for it. But you'll go out to brunch and spend yourself $38 on a Saturday when you could be riding your bike instead and do eggs and toast.
I think that the bigger argument is the data privacy thing.
I'm completely
that
with
bothers me
because I read that article and I agree. Yeah.
So I believe in both sides of the argument.
Yep.
I have no beef with you guys for paying for it. I'm not sure I'm going to pay for it right now. I probably will at some point, but right now I'm kind of like, I'm not. The other thing that
my one thing is what they took away from the free. I think that when you're talking about just because the users are what made the segments over time. I can understand if they make the leaderboards by pay, because that is something that Strava made, but at least the being able to view and analyze the segments,
which they have not actually taken away from the free tier. You can still
analyzing segments. You can't.
Okay.
You can see the top 10.
Yeah,
you can see the top 10. You can look at segments. You can make segments.
Still in the leaderboard if you're free too. But.
Yeah, and you can see all of your times on those segments.
Yep.
So, I think that I don't know. I don't have any beef with businesses doing what they want to do. I mean, I feel like it's their job to do what's best for them. I would love to see them have a better policy with their data and say, this is your data. If you want to export it all out and do whatever you want to with it, that's fine. If you want to share this with a different company, like a different mapping company that wants to take your Strava data and do something cool with it, that I personally believe in. A lot of this is just ingrained in you if you're a programmer, that you should have like this open mentality of like, we share this as much as we can until it hurts.
Yeah.
And that's how open source software works. It's where, I guarantee you that Strava developers probably are like, you know what, we should share more, because they're very good software developers and they use open source software every day over there at Strava. I would be super surprised if they wouldn't even be able to find a way to not do that.
Yeah.
So part of me is bugged by it. Part of me is okay with it. I don't know. I see both sides of the argument.
Yeah.
Trade-off for me is that I don't even care. I mean,
No.
I agree with
totally.
you with what you're saying, but the value that brings to the endurance community, specifically the cycling community, I probably wouldn't know Lance. Lance is one of my best friends. I wouldn't know him without Strava.
Would you pay $5 a month for Lance? I wouldn't. I definitely would not.
Look at all you get. That's so much to offer.
I'd say $275, $280.
That's pushing it.
But $5.
I know. Is that with tax?
I moved here to Camas a little over 5 years ago, and I did not know a soul. Now, granted, I made some friends quickly just because, you plug into the community, you meet people, right? Mm-hmm. And they, that's kind of how I met Matt. I didn't meet Matt through Strava. It was through mutual friends and whatnot. Yep. But I can't tell you how many good, solid, lifelong friends that I have from here, not only just here, from everywhere. Like when I went and did STP for the first time, Seattle to Portland, there was about 5 or 6 guys that I rode down with that day that I didn't know them before that day. We're still friends to this day because of Strava, because had I not had that platform and been able to connect with them and see what they've got going on a regular basis, wouldn't happen. Like one of our friends, Justin Wagner, wouldn't know him.
No,
wouldn't know him from anybody without Strava.
Yeah, that's true.
That to me is invaluable. So I could not care less about the fact that they're mining my data. I mean, I don't want them giving away like my home address and my phone number and my email address. I mean, that would bother me. But if they're using my data, my rides, if you will, for whatever reason, that doesn't bother me. I mean, It does, but it's not going to be a deal breaker, because I think the value that I get out of Strava is much greater than that. The community that it helps build, the fact that it's getting people out there riding their bikes, that is invaluable.
What if Facebook was like, we're going to charge $5 a month?
I'd quit it.
You'd quit it?
I hate Facebook. I really do. I think that brings out the worst in people.
For $2.50 a month, I would. I would log out of my Facebook. Absolutely.
Only thing I like about Facebook.
What about Instagram?
The only thing is because of our pages.
Our
That's
groups.
The only thing.
Our groups.
Yeah,
are the only thing that I like about that.
Yeah.
Everything else about Facebook, I hate it. It brings out like people that I like. I got to be very tactful about this. I can't stand on Facebook because
there's people you like in person,
in real life. Yeah,
they're great people in person.
You're like, I love this person. On Facebook, can't handle it.
Can't do it. So it's just,
it's me, isn't it?
People, Lance had a title on one of his Strava rides.
Try to pull it up.
Lance had a title
one
on one of his Strava rides.
One more beautiful picture, Matt, and I'm out of here.
He'll bring this up in just a second, but people get on there and they start fighting about the stupidest stuff, and it's like,
it's hard.
I don't know. You got all these keyboard cowboys out there that. Like,
Yeah.
you really have time to sit there all day long and fight with people that you don't even know on Facebook? You're not going to change anybody's mind. And all you're doing is pissing yourself off and other people, and you're just making a greater divide amongst people and their opinions. Like,
It's good that Strava avoids that
Yes.
because it's
Strava does.
so cycling. It's
Yep.
really cycling
Centric, yeah.
specific. It's
Yeah.
not really
It
running
is.
/ swimming or
It
whatever.
is.
but,
My ride title on Thursday was "Life is short. Make sure you spend as much time as possible on the internet arguing with strangers about politics."
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go. Make sure you're spending quality time on the internet.
and that's what I love about Strava is the fact that you don't find that there, and it's just people that are out having fun, doing good things, posting up cool pictures and ride routes, and like without Strava, I wouldn't have like half the rides in my belt. Like that's you go out there and you explore and you learn, and so if I have to pay $5 to go do a route planner to go see what kind of routes people are doing, I'm fine with it. It's 16 cents a day, people. It's really not that much money.
All of my enjoyment in the year 2020 as it is relating to endurance sports could be directly linked to Strava.
Okay, yeah, that's another
like
thing.
literally, I mean,
the entire let's say that
It's no race season. So
right,
what are you going to do?
This is literally where I'm
KOM
getting
it
my enjoyment.
or Everest it or
and that's the thing
whatever
is like
people
I
do.
mean, if you Everest it and it's not on Strava, did you really Everest? You know,
You do
did
wanna
you really?
I think you
Everest?
want to record that kind of thing.
I think
yeah, if
it's
you're going to do that, you
I think on the Everesting website, I think
You
it's
have
a
to have it.
requirement. It has to be uploaded. Yeah.
Along with their many other requirements,
Yeah.
one of them is it's got to
It
be
has
on
to be on
Strava.
And do you guys ever just scroll back in time and just look at some of the old? Oh, I remember that ride. That ride was so. Oh yeah, that person was there that day. Oh, check out that picture.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. To me, that's that's very valuable. So,
Yep.
All right, we've
We like to go on and on.
Sorry. Champ Bailey postscript out.
Okay, main topic. 5 minutes. Go.
Yeah, we're going to shorten up our main topic.
let's get negative on this one, huh?
Yeah.
All right, guys. How about some things that negatively affect your training and performance?
Lance's mustache. Having to look at Lance's mustache.
This beauty is
Being in the
nothing
presence
but
of
motivational.
Lance's mustache.
It's got to start slowing you down here now.
That's like a
Weighting you
Zwift
down,
power up.
getting
They
heavy.
should just have Lance's mustache as a Zwift power up
Okay.
that takes 15% performance away from everybody else around.
Watts
you.
per kilo drop with all that wax in that mustache, man.
It's definitely not aerodynamic anymore. Although we do know that facial hair,
Yeah.
we do know that facial hair doesn't affect aerodynamics that much.
You'd be faster in the pool.
Yeah.
Right,
Matt,
Right?
Matt, can
You'd
you
be
shape
faster.
Beard.
Can he shape it in a manner and use a certain kind of wax and then tuck it back to make
Yes.
himself more aerodynamic?
We
Is
know
that possible?
We know that wax on chains can give you as much as 10 free watts.
Yep.
What we don't know is how much wax on your mustache gives you. I assume 20 watts.
I'm assuming twice as much, yes.
if I
Exactly.
straighten out the curls,
It's a foil then.
then it's an airfoil.
Yep, there you go. Mhm. And I think it actually will wrap around the mustache and then wrap around the back of your head and propel you forward. So.
Yep. I would say work would be the big one for all 75% of the people at the table. The thing that negatively,
I don't have a job.
I think the thing that's
unemployed.
the most clear thing that negatively affects training.
For me, work my week starts on Monday. I generally take Mondays off, so I've got Tuesday through Friday to try and get as much volume as I can. And then like you're trying to I'm trying to hit that 10-hour mark, so I've got to backfill everything in on the weekends.
Yep.
Like going into this week on Friday, I think I had a total of, it was maybe 4 hours.
Yeah.
After Friday's ride was done,
Yep.
I'm like, crap, I got to ride 6 hours this weekend. Well, knock that out on Saturday. So,
In one day.
but I mean, if it wasn't for work, and I've had times in my life too where my work schedule hasn't been quite as nuts, or I've been able to build my schedule so that I can get out there and ride during my lunch break and get like 2 hours in, just going to work a little earlier, whatever. And I just can't do that anymore. I get here in the morning and I love being here, but I just don't have time to leave. There's too many things going on. So that definitely does affect my my riding volume.
And Jake's juggling a lot of different hats too. I think that's the one thing is when you got it's easier when work can be something that I think fits into a schedule. With Jake's it is, it's in a schedule and then fluid too at the same time. So things can change or somebody comes in and gotta hang out and talk.
And then you've got Matt over here who's like, he wants to train 10, 15, 20 hours a week. And
I would
he's
love
got
to
these
train a lot.
massive conglomerates beating his door down with work demands. And
Yeah.
Tell Phil Knight to calm down,
Keep it cool, Phil. Knight.
Phil, calm down.
I did meet him last year.
Did you?
Did you really?
Yeah, he was looking at my app and he got confused.
I think I
He was
remember
like-
you telling this
He was,
story.
it was so we had this mobile app or whatever, and we are like, here you go, here's this thing, and like he's like playing with it or whatever, and then he like puts it in his pocket, and we're like, that's not really yours.
You just took my phone.
He's
like, I
is
write your
older.
checks, Matt. Yes,
Yeah, he's
yes,
like,
it is.
we just roll with it.
Whatever you say, Phil.
Whatever you want.
Yeah, I'll buy another phone. Don't worry.
Don't you worry about that. Just give me a job, please.
Just harvested all of your data.
He did. He's harvesting. Phil Knight's he's the one that's harvesting all the data. I'm swamped right now with work, and it's really hard because I have kids, and you can't really steal
Are those
time.
grandkids?
I got grandkids. I know, that's the best, right? I have grandkids, and it's like, Saturdays, right, where you're like, okay, this is, family time or whatever, and 6 hours of biking is hard to pull off.
Yep.
So I usually just steal time away from work. Like, that's my go-to thing. I'll either like take a whole day off of work and go do stuff, or I'll just take at least a lunch ride and go do stuff. And then with morning, whatever, you can usually work something out. But right now, it's just, I really should be working like 80 hours a week.
Well, and the kids haven't been in school too, which takes any free time you had now.
I can't
defunct.
just go,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like, I can't just blow off work and go do something because the kids are at home and they are not old enough to be left alone. And so right now, I'm in a bad, bad place.
Matt is stuck between a rock and a harder place, I think.
But I got out this weekend, so I can't complain too much.
Yeah.
We actually rode some miles together.
I rode with the Hepler family.
Yes.
That was my favorite, right? I love riding
Awesome.
with the Hepler family.
I love seeing her at the top of that climb that day. That was
Brandy's
awesome.
like, okay, I'm going to go this way. And we're like, yeah, we'll go with you. And she's like, never mind, I'm going to go this way then. And then we're like, oh, yeah, we'll go with you. And she's like, no, changed my mind again. Which way are you guys going? Because I'm going to go the other way.
Lays down the hammer.
She
and
really,
drops
she really was like, no, I do not want to ride with these guys. Look at this guy's mustache. The other guy's got his shoe cut out. What's the matter with this guy?
Matt was riding with his shoe that the whole heel is cut out, and a GoPro in his mouth.
You both just look like
I know.
friends.
Just
He had
like
a
friends
GoPro
out
in his mouth and half a shoe on.
I showed Tonk my shoe. He was like, how's your Achilles doing? And I kind of like sped up just enough to like show him my heel.
shoe.
Look at my shoe. I cut the heel off my shoe to take pressure off the Achilles. Yeah.
Yeah, he had a good suggestion that we reach out to Crocs.
Crocs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Ooh, that's not a bad
but
idea.
yeah, grandfathers aren't allowed to wear Crocs. That's a
Are we
a
going to get
dad,
New Balance to build you something?
that's a dad thing, I think.
Some white New Balance cycling shoes?
I think that if I can get some like of those like
Costco brand?
those like all white therapeutic kind of shoes, that could work for me.
Did we just come up with Matt's next birthday present?
Yeah, I think so.
Very
Can
New
we
Balance?
please? We need
With
somebody
the
to
heels
do this
cut
for us,
out.
please. Yes, with the heels cut out and a clip on the
Oh,
bottom.
if they could be Velcro for my arthritis, that'd be
Yes, that'd be
ideal.
good.
I'm a
the
big,
hands don't tie knots.
I'm
as
a
well.
big fan of the Velcro.
Evan, what's something for you that really throws a wrench in your training?
You know, for me to be honest, my training has always been able to be fluid around my schedule. I looking into my future, I really do think the biggest deterrent to training is family, kids, young kids. Because I have always grown up with training with people who usually have kids. Like, I don't train with a ton of people my age.
Takes some time.
So I have realized that is the big, regardless of what your job is. And as Lance has said to me before, this is almost like a mantra of mine now, is you have way more free time than you think you do. Always. No matter what. You always have more free time than you think you do. And I've realized that no matter how stressful somebody believes their job is, and I like to believe my job is stressful, but everybody's job is stressful. So, you know, time-wise through a week, I'm always able to move and adjust training. I've gone from being a morning training person to a late evening training person to a dead afternoon training person. But the one thing that really puts, I would say, a monkey wrench into my training plans is the amount of contact people have with me now outside of work, which is something that I enjoy doing and will continue to do because it's what drives, you know, the clinic and me as a physical therapist, which is more important to me than me as an athlete. But the one thing I am truly jealous of younger pro triathletes who have things taken care of for them where they get to focus on their athleticism is that when they rest, they get to rest. I need to manage in my life the outside stress a little bit better. Whether it's me on the trainer in the middle of intervals trying to answer Facebook messages or texts or emails or this or that.
Wait, you answer texts?
I do.
Just not
not yours,
Just
Matt.
not the ones. Yeah.
They get into a backlog, and I will then answer them in order. But I won't open up the text until I know it's during this time period where I know I'm going to go through and answer them, because I like taking time with them, because a lot of people will text me big, long, important texts, and I need to have the time to actually read through them and be like, oh, okay, give a thoughtful response to it. But yeah, I would say that's the biggest deterrent to training. And I don't say that as a negative, because it's something I brought on myself, and I actually want to have that problem, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I enjoy having that problem. But it's way different than, I have some friends of mine still who are mostly on the training is the most important part of their late 20s life, and they get to really chill when they need to chill and rest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is probably important.
Gotcha.
For getting faster, I guess.
Mr. Hepler.
The biggest thing that affects my training is not having a goal.
Yeah.
If I don't have a goal race on the calendar, or a goal, something that I'm trying to accomplish, then, man, that couch feels good.
Start sliding.
Yeah, you just
Being
start
in a
sliding.
ship without a rudder.
Exactly.
Yep.
Case in point, I mean, obviously these last 3 months have been difficult, with all our races being canceled or postponed, and every race that is on the schedule, there's a big giant question mark whether it's actually going to happen or not. And it was hard to stay motivated to continue doing these interval workouts that I had planned on doing. It became kind of silly for me to be doing interval workouts not knowing when there would actually be a race. That was for me. Yeah. So 3 weeks ago, I kind of stopped doing the 4 times a week interval sessions that I was doing, because there was no race on the schedule.
Your 365-day training plan, do you have to push that back?
Yeah, I had to cancel it.
Oh,
I removed it from my...
Did you? Your
yeah.
calendar?
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
You have to
Are you still
totally
subscribed to
reorganize.
training?
Well, what are you going to do with
Or
the
is that
500
Trainer Road?
training
I'm
plan?
still on Trainer Road. So what I did was, and it was kind of interesting, because I hadn't been doing these workouts, things you start to backslide a little bit. It becomes easier to not do it, or to not push quite as hard. But we got an email this week that one of the races I'd planned on doing this June, they rescheduled it for August, and are fairly certain it's potentially could happen in August. I don't know if I actually believe that, but getting that email was enough to put things into a training program again and say, okay,
which race?
I need it. The Oregon Trail Gravel Grinder.
Okay.
They rescheduled. It's a 5-day stage race, gravel stage race.
I thought you weren't gonna do that. I think after doing it last year, nope, done.
Yeah. Well, so what happened was Chris Surratt signed up for it, and he said, "You better sign up for this if I'm doing this."
Oh, gotta love the peer pressure.
So
Yep.
I completely caved to peer pressure.
Gotcha.
And so Chris,
When
Plus,
is this?
there's no other race option.
When is this
so.
rescheduled for?
August, the 3rd week in August, or something like that.
Okay.
Did you better get to your training?
So
He's looking good on the bike right now.
gosh.
He's gonna be hard to hang with.
I'm not going to be able to hang with him.
You will. You just got to get back on the intervals. That's all. Yeah.
I was just he wrote this on this gravel ride on Saturday, and
He's a bigger guy too.
he's
like
he's like the same size as me, or bigger, and he smoked me up the climbs by
He's
minutes.
a strong athlete.
Yeah.
Very strong.
You can keep up with him in a sprint. Sort of.
Kind of. Maybe if he leads me out. He's
can keep
strong.
up with him.
I know he's got some speed.
On his wheel. Yeah.
So I actually replugged in the program. It's only like a 20-week program.
What?
So that I
Only
could
20 weeks.
get
Never in my life had a 20-week goal, period.
My life goals aren't even 20 weeks.
Yeah.
the way that
What do you want to do next year? I don't know what I want to do next week.
the way that Trainer Road works with their custom plan builder, you can put your event and how into the plan, and it will build a plan for you back from there. So it goes through several different types of phases and workouts that will build back from there. So if I plug in this 5-day event in August and kind of say what each day is more or less going to be, it will build something for you so that you can kind of prep for that. So that's why we joked about it.
Yeah.
300 day.
So are you back on track? Are you following
Yeah.
this program again? When do you start?
Yesterday.
Nailed it. You nailed it yesterday.
Did not.
Good job recovering.
Yeah, so I've just found that it's my motivation is purely around race results, which is dumb, but that's just the way my brain works. So having a race on the schedule is what motivates me to stay on the training regimen. And that affects what I eat. That affects how I try to sleep. That affects a lot of other things.
Yep.
Too. Yeah.
I heard that in England they're okaying some time trials to start back up because they can do it spread out and things.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if something like that could be.
I think we're seeing some time trials coming back on the calendar for Washington State Bicycle Racing Association.
Yeah, that might happen too.
WSBA.
Yeah.
I think I saw somebody make a comment about that. I didn't get an email from them per se, but somebody said, "Oh, it looks like we're going to have some TTs." I don't know.
You can do those on gravel bikes.
I'm not super hopeful that even these races they've put back on the calendar are actually going to happen. And they actually qualified that by saying that, if we have another bump in COVID cases, then it'll all get canceled or shoved out again. But
well, just here in Clark County, we were supposed to enter into phase 2.
We were,
and then there was a big outbreak at some was it like a fruit packing plant or something?
Fruit packing plant.
19 or 20 people that tested positive.
38.
Oh, was it 38? Oh
yeah.
my gosh, never mind.
And that's been over the last several weeks, but 38 people in this one place. It just ran through the whole packing plant, and so we're not in phase 2 anymore, or we're not even looking at phase 2.
Just press pause.
Dang it.
Yeah.
I have a bad feeling about cross country season.
1.
Yeah.
Just race the kids in time trial format.
Yeah.
Really.
I race my own
actually
kids.
not a bad idea.
Yeah, time trial.
Yeah.
You know what? You're just talking about that. Maybe this could be a topic for next week. Is a gap year necessarily a bad thing? Granted, we don't want to be dealing with all the COVID stuff, but is a gap year necessarily a bad thing for
taking
endurance?
COVID out of this? I know,
everybody's taking a year off just to kind of take the foot off the accelerator and
I
go out
personally
and enjoy and have fun and just let your body recover and then
I don't think
ramp
that's a
things
bad
back
thing
up
at
next
all.
year.
I think from a grandfather's perspective, when you're as old as I am,
How was the Spanish flu, by the way?
the Spanish
Was
flu
that rough?
That was easy.
How
compared
does
to
this
COVID.
compare? Okay,
Oh, that was easy. That was walk in the park. If you only have so many years, then this is a big hit. If you're an Olympic caliber athlete, when you only get, you might get one good Olympic year when you're at the right age at the right time, things like that.
If you are, what's Abby? The guy.
Abdi Abdurrahman.
Yes,
sure.
yes.
He's
40.
He's older
41.
than I am.
He's 41 or 2, I thought.
Yeah, probably 42 now or something like that.
He may not get another. Yeah,
So,
that may have been his last.
So if they miss the Olympics, then you have to go another 4
Molly
years.
Huddle. I mean,
No, they're going to do the Olympics in 2021, right?
That's the plan.
Yeah, well,
hopefully.
But yeah.
Is that Lolo Jones? That's another one that I think about with that.
Yep.
She's been to several Olympics. She was a hurdler.
Yep.
And she also
Great
did
hurdler. Yeah.
the bobsled in the Winter Olympics.
Right.
But she was planning on retiring, but she'd been ramping up this year, and she's pushing the age limit for an Olympic athlete.
Well,
high-level
sprinters
athlete.
tend to be a little bit younger
Yeah.
than distance runners.
And so for her to lose this year and even try to push it another year, it might be too much.
So for the mortals of us, maybe that don't
It's a
have
great thing,
grandchildren,
right?
I feel like
The high school seniors too. I mean, you think of the
Yeah,
high school seniors, a
for sure.
college runner. Yeah, I mean, those are the ones that you look at and you're like, this affects them heavily,
Yeah.
and I feel very bad for them. I do.
There are those people out there. I think on the whole, that's a very small percentage
Yeah.
of the entire community. And I think for the entire community just to kind of go out and enjoy what it is that they do, I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. Is that what I want? No. I mean, I want to have the ability, you want to have the option to go race. If you want to take a gap year, fine, take a gap year. But being forced to take a gap year, that sucks.
Yeah.
But on the whole, it's not necessarily a terrible thing. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
I actually think if you're not one of those people on the opposite side of the spectrums, even at the elite level, it's not that bad because you're seeing a lot of these younger triathletes, younger cyclists. I think they get this year. Racing naturally interrupts training buildings, training like good training blocks.
Yeah.
So it's not a bad thing if I'll just use a guy we've talked about this before, like a Sam Long, who's still in the early phases of his development as what I think could potentially be one of the best Ironman athletes, period.
Maybe.
He gets to take a year right now where he doesn't have to worry about racing. He just gets to, and that guy's got an
build.
engine.
Yep.
He can build. That guy can tolerate 40 hours a week. So,
My wife's not a Sam Long, but she's another person. Like she was going to train for the Portland Marathon, and she's heard from people that it's pretty much canceled. Yes. It's not going to happen. She wants to do that, but that was also kind of throwing a wrench in this whole triathlon thing that she seems to really be gravitating towards.
She was going to have a busy race schedule. She was going to have a very busy race schedule.
And she's like, well, what do I do now? I'm like, well, you just don't train for a marathon and just keep building your base up in all three disciplines, and then you can kind of come back to that
and have a great 2021.
Exactly.
It's
just
have a safe, good
training.
2021.
I wonder if she'll do an Ironman in the future. I could see her doing
I'd put
it.
a timeline on it.
I could see her doing that.
Maybe a half. I'm going to say no to the full.
Well,
that's not.
Once you do a half,
it's
though,
the progression.
It's the progression, right? It's like
a half didn't feel too hard. It wouldn't be too bad. Maybe
it'd be like
double
if you were
that
like
one day.
if you did a metric century,
and
you're like, I did a metric century, I could, and you start thinking like, maybe I could do this.
And God forbid you don't feel tired at the end of that metric century. You're like, God, I think I could have gone another 40-some miles.
Her response to that's going to be, I don't have time.
I'm
a busy
response.
mom. I'm a professional.
Very busy job too.
Yeah,
so
she is. She's super swamped. Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe
when she organizes her time very well.
She is organized.
Maybe when we're in our 50s, she'll do it. So.
She's twice as organized as all of us. Yeah. So that might actually.
Just as soon as one of the kids gets their driver's license, then it's over.
That's coming up soon.
My problem with the gap year is it tends to be about 40 pounds for me. So
yeah.
I have to be careful.
It's about COVID-19 for me.
That's right.
Yep.
You got the COVID 40?
I put 15 pounds on pretty easily. With
well, I'm going to just jump into my thing. Diet. That's something that's really.
That's what I was about to bring up too.
Got garbage can over here who's weighs all of like $150. Yeah, you have such a hard time with diet, don't you?
Yeah, I know. I probably shouldn't even be talking about it.
So for me, I do a pretty good job of staying clean. But for me, my body is very sensitive to how I eat. Like if I eat perfect, and I don't know if there is such a thing, but for me, if I eat like really, really, really good, I can drop the weight and I can get down to a very formidable like fighting weight that's going to be good for me to go out and compete. Like if I can get down to 178 to 182 pounds, I do really well. That's where I excel as a cyclist. For me though, like ever since I've dealt with this injury stuff, it's been difficult, and I'm still like trying to eat really well, but I can't do the strength training that I want to do. So if I don't eat close to perfect, that shows, and I start to carry the extra weight, and to get that off, that's really hard. And I'm still trying to eat really, really well, but my body, if I'm like 85% like clean with what I eat, that last 15% still keeps me from getting to where I want to go, or it negatively affects me. And heaven forbid, you have a brownie or a bowl of ice cream or something like that, then like, oh God, there goes a week's worth of training. It affects me that much, and it doesn't help that I'm getting older. Maybe that's another thing, is age, but an injury, it really does truly affect me if I'm not perfect. Close to it.
As the only one at this table without grandchildren, I really think that
Lopez all in there.
I assume Lance has grandchildren, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm old enough to have grandchildren.
You are old enough to have
great
grandchildren.
grandkids,
but I don't.
But I think it's something that I think endurance, because I mean, how was everybody's diet when they were in their mid-20s?
I ate
almost
like you.
like mid-20s.
I ate like you. I could eat a large pizza.
Yeah.
No problem. At least once a week.
Yeah. I mean, it's, like obviously I think stress increases exponentially as you have children and the job gets harder and harder and you get in your 30s and 40s. So, beyond just age affecting metabolism, the stress and lack of sleep, which is rampant in your 40s, is, I think really contributing to that too. But I think that's the toughest part for endurance athletes with diet is it's, Jake has a great diet 85% of the time. Lance has a great diet 85% of the time. It's that 15% that here's the thing is I think you really have to hone in on, is that 15% worth it? Because I've, and I will speak from my personal experience, for me to get down to what I believed was going to be a good race weight last year, I had in my head probably disordered thinking, I think we all do in this sport to some extent, that I had to be at a certain weight for a watts per kilo number and for my mile split so that I could sustain that, and it had to be that number. So I cut out that for me, probably 30%. We'll say it was 50%. We'll say 50%. I had to change 50% of my diet for a period of time. I was not happy. I felt weak. I felt tired. I was way too lean, and I didn't perform like I should have. So I think it's not always this punishment mindset for diet that negatively affects us. I think that mindset is also negative in the sense of like that 15% is what's killing me right now. Like if you could fix 10% of that, but still give yourself that happiness, that 5%.
Yeah.
Because I really do think in this sport, even though people like to put on this persona of like, I have 100% diet, Instagram is the worst with this in endurance athletes.
Yeah.
Post up some beautiful avocado salad as if that's what that triathlete eats after every single training session. It'd be like, that's why I appreciate, not to bring back up like the Sam Longs of the world, who will literally Instagram himself eating McDonald's mid 200-mile ride. But here's the thing is, you may have a perfect diet. If you're not putting out the same watts as Sam, both of your jobs is to go fast. Why are you making yourself incredibly unhappy then? Especially if that extra 15% makes you unhappy. There are some people who love eating a good diet and it makes them ecstatic and happy. But if you're eating well 75% of the time and 25% of the time you like to enjoy yourself and be human, don't beat yourself up over that.
Well, and you will go through phases in your life where some things that you think make you happy don't actually make you happy.
Yeah.
And it might take going through that, peak and valley to
Gaining
realize
40 pounds to,
that it doesn't actually make you happy. So that the diet is always a challenge.
Yeah, it is.
You can lump, excuse me. You can lump into there too. I guess mine's Lance on this alcohol kind of falling into the diet. Did you guys?
Yeah.
I don't think anybody here has an alcohol problem, but I enjoy a glass of wine with my wife at night sometimes too.
Yeah.
I love beer. I think beer is fantastic. I can't just have one though, so I never drink it because one turns into two, and that's just another 300, 400 calories that you didn't necessarily need.
Definitely.
And like if you're counting calories and all that other stuff and you start putting it in there, that stuff starts to add up, and that's a good way to carry some extra weight. But and usually if you have a couple beers, then you're like, oh, I'm kind of hungry, you kind of get munchies, and you're kind of relaxed and like, all right, I'm gonna go eat it. Like, so it just turns into a big calorie affair. Do you guys find that to be an issue at all?
I definitely find that I can cut beer and cut an immediate 5 pounds.
I think you did this last year.
I do this all the time.
Yeah.
I stopped drinking all the time. I don't feel like I have a problem. I do same as you. Love having end of the day. I love having a beer, and I don't think it's the alcohol or anything. It's just like it's almost the same as having like a bubbly water. It's just like the taste of it, and it's like this is so relaxing, and refreshing.
Touches your lips.
Yeah, tastes so good. But yeah,
Just one, Matt.
I think back to Lance's point is having a race on the calendar.
Yeah,
is that it's just the reason to be like, nope, not doing that, not going to have that or whatever, and you don't have that on the calendar like right now. Yeah, and I can even drink a beer while I work. So it's like, let's say I'm working at 6 o'clock at night and I've been working all day, and I have 2 more hours of work. I can sip a beer and do my work. Like most people can't do that with their job, right?
Oh, no, I can. I actually sit one right over on the patient's table. And
you put on their forehead.
I do.
Stay still.
Hold this
balance.
Hold my beer while I do.
Matt, please literally hold my beer.
So I think that programming does not blend itself with a healthy lifestyle in a lot of ways. Yeah, but that's okay.
I totally agree though with having that thing on the calendar, because
I think
when we had training camp, that was the first thing that I had on the calendar, thinking I'm going to race. My wife and I were like, right, we're just going to do this whole dry January thing. We didn't have a single glass of anything for the entire month of January, and I think in addition to that, we pretty much cut out all sugars too. So you're going to see benefits from that. So.
That's the surprising part from wine. It's just the dose of sugar you get out of it too.
Sure.
Yeah. And I mean, beers being maltose, that's already a simple carb, so you might as well just be sitting there eating white bread. I mean, really, it's just simple
so
carbs.
Good. White bread.
All right. We're getting long on this one. Let's run through a few more. Let's wrap
Beer
off
and
a few
white
more.
bread.
Matt, what else you got?
You know what's killing me? Making these damn YouTube videos.
I spend other hobbies then.
I spend a stupid amount of time making those videos.
But they are so awesome.
Wow.
They are.
Yeah, but are they worth, the hours that I put into them?
Do they make you happy, Matt?
They do. I do love them.
They're fun.
I love some of them.
But you could go to one every other week. And I don't think anybody would bang the,
I'm happy that I'm doing one per week. I would prefer to do 2 or 3 a week. Because I have backlog of things that I want to make. Yeah. And it's getting really bad because stuff that I really need to get out the door.
Here's the things that cracks me up. You got to be so efficient with that, because I watch other YouTubers and they're like, oh, it's so stressful for me to get one video out a week. Not saying that it's that much time, but they don't have the job that you have. And I'm like, how are these guys struggling to get one video? Matt has a family, trains, has a job, and still gets one of these out a week.
I see other. So
He doesn't have any friends though.
I have
That's
no
true.
friends, and my grandkids hate me.
Kids take too much time.
No, I think
You got to babysit the grandkids.
the thing is that YouTube rewards more volume of videos.
Yeah.
Even compared to quality, I think so. It would be nice to put out at least 2 videos a week. So
I think you're
someday.
I think you're waving the banner for like, you know, when hip hop became really commercialized, but there was still like a core of hip hop that was like, we're keeping
it real.
We're keeping it real. I think Matt is still keeping YouTube real. It's like Matt does not put a single crap video out. There's not
That's
a
not
single.
true.
No, that's no. I'm genuine. Trust me, I follow the YouTubers and they put up a video. I'm like, why did that even make the internet? That was you talking at a microphone for 15 minutes and nobody cares.
Yeah,
Like
that's 95% of my stuff.
that is not true. Every one of your videos I watched, I was like, there was an awesome, at least 5-second bit in each one. And I was like, there was some effort put in there.
Evan, give us another one.
Okay, I think life events, as in,
Yeah,
so
totally.
when we're talking about big, I'm going to use Lance as the example here, a 50-week block, and let's say you've got a once-in-a-lifetime trip to Canada with your wife for 2.5 weeks where you're going to be hiking in the woods. Boom, takes out intervals. God forbid, funerals, got to travel for a funeral.
I feel like there's a holiday every
yes.
other day. I'm like, what?
I plan, so when I go home to Ohio for Christmas, I stress about sitting there being like, oh, I still got to get, I mean, we were like 4 months from racing at that point. I'm like, oh, I still got to get the training in.
In the middle of my build-up for training camp, and it's stupid that I had to build up for training camp.
Was
but
this
I
when
did.
you went on the cruise?
No, I didn't go on a cruise, but I had to drive to
what it
Orlando
was.
and back.
Yeah,
and on the
that's
way there, I had time to train. On the way back, nada.
Yep.
Nothing. It was me and my daughters driving
chunk
cars.
out of that.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I just said,
Yeah.
screw it. I'm just not gonna train. I got to do this.
Even little things, I'm sure you run it with your high schoolers, wisdom teeth getting pulled.
Oh, yeah.
Random, like, little high school things going on. You broke up with your girlfriend and you're 16. That's a big life event.
Sure.
Got to take a week off and stay in bed all day.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Lance.
I was about to make it a just joking.
Next
so
big thing
good.
that
So good.
affects training plans for me, injuries.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it can be big injuries like Jake has and has been dealing with for almost friggin' 2 years. It could be something like where I broke my hip. I said that in quotation marks because I really...
Well, mine would be even smaller. So yours is moderate. We'll go like Jake is big, yours is moderate, mine was small.
well, and other things like a saddle sore. That could screw up your training program or any training. You might have to take a week or 2 off of sitting on a saddle just to let that thing heal enough so that you can...
You guys ever had a saddle sore?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel lucky. I feel like I've only had like one bad one, and it was right before STP, and I was like, I might not be able to do this thing.
Yep.
But it worked out. I was fine.
I've never had a saddle sore, but I've definitely had issues in other parts of that region down there from chafing.
Yeah.
We should have a podcast where we delve into the details of this, but we'll preface the podcast by saying, like, you need a strong stomach to listen to this.
Oh.
Like, but this is something that so during the Lance documentary last night when he was talking about cyclists being aware of testicular cancer and talking about that area, that's not an area that we talk about too much in cycling outside.
Yeah.
You just
You don't
preface
wanna
it as
talk
like
about it.
saddle sore. Don't want to talk about it. Just saddle sore. How bad was it? Don't know. It was a saddle sore.
But that could be something too.
My disdain for training super early in the morning and procrastination are going to be 2 other things.
Yeah.
Procrastination.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Putting it off, and next thing you know, crap, I've got my only option now is to ride it, from 8 to 9 o'clock at night on the trainer and get pissed off and sit there and come up with some stupid dad pun to use as your ride title.
Yes.
That I hired
really
Lance to
bad
write for
ones.
me. Somebody asked me if Lance was writing my ride titles for me now.
That's right. There was some
That's a
bad
compliment.
I need some
jokes in
help
there.
with mine. My ride titles are awful.
That's just for my my Zwift rides, though, just because
Yeah.
I'm so, like, sitting there on the trainer, like, what am I doing with my
Got
life?
an hour to think about this title.
Yeah.
I need to- every interval, I build another sentence into this title.
Oh, what else? Anybody else? Matt, you got any more?
I don't have a ton more to say. I mean, I think all of us have kind of like at least briefly mentioned, having family obligations, which is hard to even think about as being like, well, that really got in the way of my training because how self-centered is that? But I think kids,
We've all had that thought.
especially kids, I would say at the kids where our age is at, they need help.
Yeah.
And they, I can't just leave them and go bike or, whatever it is.
For me, I feel more guilty not plugging into them and going out and riding than I do feeling upset about having to plug into them and then not being able to go out and do what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like I need to be more present.
Absolutely.
I'll give you guys that, but here's just the other side of the coin. I'll play Matt's devil's advocate here for a second
There you
for you
go.
guys.
So
but this
much
is
fun.
defending both of you and Lance, because Lance went through this time period when his children were young, where you were still training for Ironmans and everything,
Yep.
right? I think innately you're going to have that guilt for not maybe being there for certain things all the time. And there's obviously a nice balance of that. But I grew up in a family where, my dad was on TDY military all the time, tour duty. So like my dad was gone working hard that entire time, which I wish I would have understood that better at that age and been more appreciative of the sacrifices he was making. I was an idiot of a little 12, 13-year-old kid. I was probably
we were all geniuses back then.
I thought I knew everything at 13. I was like, no, Dad just doesn't want to be around here for this second because,
Yeah.
But he had that and cycling. So, there was time away. My mom did everything she possibly could for us, but trained a ton and did ultras during that time.
That's
and
cool.
then developed, and when I got into high school, into Ironmans. That to me was more important to look at and try to model than maybe if they had just been there when we're sitting on the couch on Sundays. Now, that's just my opinion when I was growing up, but I think me and my brother would both, say watching them go through the commitment it took to do the things that they were doing was more important. So, I think especially for Jake and Matt right now, like if I was looking at my dad when he crosses the Arizona Ironman finish line like you did,
Sure.
Matt, that would be a big moment as a kid to look at.
My kids have already forgotten. I'll remind them.
How much pain you had to go through that day. I think those are still really important things for youth growing up.
Sure.
And yes, being there on the weekends is important, but if you're doing something they can point and be like, that's what my dad did. Like, I want to do something like that. Or Kristen when she's running marathons and killing
it's awesome.
it.
Yeah. It's great. And I think Kristen and I both, are down. We like that and we enjoy that fact of our parenting.
Yeah.
It's still one of those things where
There's not an easy
they still
equation
need
there,
help with their homework. They still need they can't be left alone. There's all these little things where it's just like this is higher priority than my bike ride, and so you just miss it, or whatever it is. So that's how it goes.
Yeah.
I found during my life, it was easier for me to train for big things before my kids were 10 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For when my kids were teenagers, there was
they had like a million activities.
There was
to go to, right?
more
So much stuff to
There was
do.
more things that I couldn't miss.
Right.
Yeah.
Like Saturday, games and things like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm just planning on
my kid is turning 10 in a couple weeks, so it's like we're beginning that phase.
Yeah.
So it's going to get worse before it gets better.
bring yourself back to your childhood. If I had a child and was riding a cross bike, let's say circles around a soccer field and then running laps around so I could still see the game, how embarrassed on a scale of 1 to I hate you, Dad, would he be?
That's a 12. That's a 12 out of 10.
12 out of 10. Okay.
It depends on if you're
I think it's
wearing
still
your
manageable.
Lycra
I've
or
thought
not.
about. I've
Oh,
thought
I was
about
just going to do
setting
the
up the
tri
trainer.
suit. I was just going to do the tri suit.
Like a trainer, just
you-
have the trainer on the soccer
Speedo.
field.
Could you just come out there with me with my grandkids so I look cooler? Because he's like, oh, I know that Matt LeGrand guy. He's a famous YouTuber. So at least my dad's hanging out with him. Yeah.
There's the wrong Matt LeGrand, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. He'll be like, no, that's not the cool one.
That's not the cool
his friends will be like, no, that's not the right Matt LeGrand.
Anything else, guys?
That's it.
Nope.
Nope. Podcast out.
Podcast done.
Jake's been waiting weeks for that.
Let's jump into one last thing. Matt, go ahead and start us off.
Posted a video last week on the YouTubes that features the world famous Lance Hepler.
Yes.
And the mustache. That was not my favorite clip, but I was like, I got to sneak this in here. And so that you guys need to go watch. If you haven't seen it, you stop what you're doing right now. Watch that video.
It made me happy.
It is comparing cycling computers for visibility. Not my best video, but it's good information. Spoiler, if you want the spoiler, the Wahoo Element Bolt is good. It's got excellent contrast.
Yep.
And I was glad that you took a look at it too and kind of confirmed, because I don't want to have the bias of being like, well, you guys should do that. But it was a little bit better.
It did have better contrast.
I will say that the 830 that you have, Lance, and the 530 that Jake has, those were excellent as well. Probably those were, those two are the same screen. So those were the number two as far as I think of the lineup that we had. I haven't been able to check the Element Roam. I think at least maybe in a year from now I'll do another test with a lot more computers and maybe some more data behind it. I don't know. We can get some specs on how they look with polarized lenses on. I think that would be interesting.
Yeah.
There's some other things that people suggested. So we'll do another one of those videos in the future. Even though it maybe is not the most popular video, I still think there's some good information there. Check it out.
I like it.
Go check it out on the YouTubes. YouTube.com/M.
Legrand.
I think.
Evan, one last thing.
Saturday, doing 15K-ish on Forest Home. Anybody who wants to come and hang out for a little bit or climb with me for a small bit of time would be appreciated.
It's a lot of climbing.
Pass.
I can't hang with you guys on one lap.
I think it'd be fun if you tried, though. Matt?
I'll come. I'll be there.
Yeah.
I mean, if the weather's okay and I don't have a bazillion other family things.
The long weather report looks good, but yeah.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
it'll be fun.
You had a wide window.
I need to do something where I like turn around early, ride with you guys for a little bit, and then turn around early, and I don't know, something.
Yeah, we'll
So I'm
come
not
up
going
with
to
a system.
descend fast. I'm not Lance, and
Yeah.
I'm not going to go up the hills fast because I'm not Tonk. So
There we go.
right there in that happy medium.
Just breaking the dead squirrel.
Gotcha. Lance, one last thing.
I'm down a road bike this week.
Yeah.
I hit
yeah.
another rock.
What are you going to do? I feel like that's a pretty tough
Why are you
loss
hitting
for
so many rocks?
Yeah, it's just it was like another baseball-sized rock. I just
I'm just glad you're okay.
just didn't see
Where
it.
are these large rocks?
It was under an overpass, actually.
Oh, it's a sneaky one.
Yeah, I just didn't see it. I was looking
Shadows.
up ahead, and I just happened to drill it with my front wheel, and it cracked my carbon rim.
Did you hear it crack, or did it just sound like a bang? Like
There was a loud bang.
It was a loud bang enough that I stopped.
Yeah.
But I stopped mostly to, like, I didn't crash, thank goodness.
Yeah, thank goodness.
Because I wasn't going 42 miles an hour. I was only doing like 24 or something like that.
Yeah.
But I stopped because I thought it was going to go flat, but I didn't lose any air. Didn't lose my tire didn't go flat. Tubeless stayed solid. But I was looking at the rim, and yeah, it cracked. So
Don't descend on that wheel. I know you already did, but don't
I
do it
did
anymore.
with you.
I know.
Actually,
I have video
you
footage
have
of it.
video of me.
It's
descending
actually
on it.
pretty
That
good.
video
It's
of
probably
you descending Germantown
Oh,
as well.
jeez.
Yeah, I descended Germantown very fast
So
too. on
stop
that cracked
descending
wheel.
on that broken wheel.
I took it off the bike.
Good.
Yeah,
He
like-
probably rode another 45 miles after that happened. 'Cause we were only like,
It was like 20. It was like 50 more miles. Yeah, we were like 15 miles in, and I cracked it, and I still rode 65 miles that day.
So, what can he do? So this is a head wheel.
Yeah.
Do they have? Did you guys look into? Are there any replacement programs? Do they have any?
yeah, we already used it.
accident-
We used it once already.
Well, we can use it again, but yeah. I'm going to reach out to them for Lance and
We'll
see
see.
what we can do. So
You don't
If
have to
not,
go
we
look
have
and be
some
like,
things
this
up
guy
our
has to be lying. Like, no, he did not hit another rock for this.
be in their frequent crasher program.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dang it!
yeah. Oh,
Bummer.
You have some options though.
Yep.
Okay.
My one last thing. You guys have your Everest attempt coming up.
We do.
Date on that again is?
June. Tonk would know it
Oh,
right
it's,
off.
it's earlier than I thought. I was thinking you had more time.
It's the last weekend in June.
Okay. June 28th.
I believe 27th, because I believe we're looking at that Saturday. Yep.
So my one last thing is support Jesse Tonkinson.
Yes.
He has
yeah.
That's a good idea.
a cancer research fund that he's looking to help continue to support through the OHSU.
Yes, OHSU.
Yep.
It's a program he works on.
Is it
actually,
the GIST or would you say GIST?
GIST.
GIST. Okay. And do you know what GIST is? It's like a gastrointestinal stomach cancer
Yes,
thing. But
I believe so.
Isn't
Yeah.
it kind
That's
of like
awesome.
really specific to kids though?
It is. Yeah.
Okay.
Tonk would be able to. Actually, we should really
Have Tonk on to talk
before
about it.
before this
Yeah.
happens. We're gonna have Tonk on.
that'd
Yeah,
be great.
for sure.
But he is using his Everest attempt as a means to raise funds for this, and I think that is
Absolutely.
a very novel thing to do. I totally 100% will support him in that, and maybe we can get Jesse on to talk about that.
I think so. I think it'd be cool to bring Jesse on, and I think it'd be good for anybody who's gonna come out and ride with us, support, do anything like that. Anybody on the Dial team or my community back in Ohio as well. I was gonna ask Tonk. I'll post up all the links for that as well. I think keeping it focused around that charity would be awesome because it's very personal to Tonk too, and he does work.
He's
with
been
it.
working on that for what, like 3 or 4 years? Or
I think
something
so.
like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we
Tonk.
should make like a carnival atmosphere out there. We need a carny leader.
We need a carny leader. We need a ringleader. Who's gonna be our ringleader?
But
Lance.
What?
I'm thinking
Why
like
me?
I'm thinking like music and drinks and food and just people out there making it
fun.
making
There's
it fun.
some good spots, right? The top there, people can park.
Top's okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Cool. And then one last thing for the show. Just wanted to say thank you again to all of our Patreons.
Thank you.
We have Chris Hitchcock, Chris Surratt, the Hamness family, Dove Eric, the Wick family, Scott Troutman, Mark Radford, and Laura Anderson our Patreons, and just wanted to give them a big shout out and say thank you. And if anybody is interested in jumping on board, becoming a Patreon as well, go to dialpodcast.com.
Hello, Dove from Ohio.
Hi, Dove. And you can sign up there. There's a couple different options, and we actually have Patreon options for like corporate sponsorship too. Costco. So if anybody's interested in that, feel free to ping that, or you can email any of us our first names, or just send it to info@dialpodcast if you have questions. So thank you guys. It was another fun week. Long. Sorry we ran so long, but what else are you going to do, right?
What are you going to do with your time?
Just sitting around doing nothing. Right.
Yeah. None of us do anything anyway.
We will be back next week with another podcast for you. To all the guys sitting here at the table with me, thank you for your time.
Yep.
We will see you next week. Bye for now.
Could you please not open your mouth anymore?